Live from the bowels of New Jersey, Schmuel Buckman. Good evening, guys. I'm not going to, I don't know. Pat Dixon will be here in about 10 minutes. So Pat is coming. I did not fool you all. So we've got that. Let's see. Echo Pineapple. Hey, Starry. Puppets and veg mainly these days. All right. All right. How's our sound? Check, check, check. I think we should be okay. I do. So super tips are on. We'll get there eventually, but only text. Can't get the voice working. So sorry about that. Not that you were really caring anyway, but there you go. So it's been an interesting day. I haven't again followed a hell of a lot what's going on in the Dabbleverse. I do know about MKE and Ashley Cummings. I know that Ray did a stream today, and I may certainly have been DeVito'd, but we'll talk about that with my friend Pat. And I don't know why my fucking hat looks crooked. Hey KB, you know the usual. We do the Obster thing, which is Sam Bibley, welcome. Cigarette Jones, welcome. Dave Sarah, welcome. Dave he might come on later after Pat, but I wanted to get Pat alone. Ooh. Echo Pineapple is here just to break my balls, hoping to find me making weird noises. Panhandler, yes, I am the commie bastard. Um, Stealth Chaos, who thinks that my non-copyrighted music is an excellent choice. A lot of non-copyrighted music, but you got to go through it. So that was the deal. Starry is here, and Ray's Ray's big timing me. No, Ray's not big timing me. But I, I have kind of a cute Ray story, but I want to get into it later. So Pat and I have been friends for a while, and I really wanted to get him on here, particularly now that he's going back onto YouTube, um, and ask him some questions. He's been on before, but only he came on when we had something else scheduled, so it was like really quick, and I felt bad. And then he's a big, he's got his own show, he does his own thing, so I don't like to ask these guys on. So yes, I'm looking for the Pat Dixon bump echo. That's what we're talking about. And no, I wanted to. There's a lot going on with Pat. He's been in the sort of in the ether lately, right? So let's hear what we're doing to him. NJ Ranger, bring him on and then stick it to him. Yeah, I can't do that. I I like Pat. So and hey, the lady of the evening herself, Taz, the resident artist. What's up, Mr. Schmuel? Taz, I think you said you loved me once. Um, uh, Taz is pretty stoked for this. I am too, because I usually go on Pat's show. So there we are. And we'll see if we can pull this off tonight. It might be pretty funny. Um, or it might not. But, well, we're always going to give it a shot. Anyway, kids, I have an admission to make. I said the other night when Karmic was asking me, um, apparently he had said he sent me a link, and I said I couldn't find any link that I sent him. And I also said I didn't want to lie because it might have been happening. Um, but I did send him a link October 24th, I think. Um, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Just wanted to pull those up. Um, hopefully, I will pull up Twitter without doxing half the universe, but we'll see. We'll see. I was trying really hard to get voice tips working this weekend, and I got the problem with the voice tips is I can hear them, you can't hear them. So then I managed to get it where um, you could hear them, I could hear them, but I couldn't hear anybody on StreamYard. And uh, I did all these things on OBS to try to get this thing working, and finally I just gave up. And tonight, very basic. We've got a browser, a video capture, and my background, and then that's it. Um, uh, let's just see here. It's the year of the snake. I have a SEAL team podcasting, but it really looks like pool casting, doesn't it? But it does say podcasting. Yeah, I had the other one, the Dabbleverse approved one. I did. So here's the deal, guys. With KB, right? So KB is saying, I hate voice AI. Stealth, no, I got the wrong clip. Stealth doesn't like the voice AI tips either. I think some of them are hilarious. I think they were fantastic when Dixon had him on his show. Because if you get people that can write, the stuff can be really funny. Um, but, yeah, Cigarette Jones. Multicasting. I only know what that says because I wrote it in. So how it appears is a little weird. But MGD, they do get old pretty quick. I can't argue with you, but they don't have to be on all the time. So, sometimes you can use them, sometimes they're not. Frank, I disagree with you. Uh, they are funny. Sometimes they're not, but it's just a joke, you know. Um, Panhandler, I don't like Sentient Schmuel. He's a mean old fuck when gambling. Well, when I'm gambling and winning, that was the deal. So, wow, we're getting into it earlier, Taz. Um, Taz, the resident artist, ha ha, Pan. After he confessed his love, he went on my stream embarrassed. I told him not to worry about it. Then he called me a whore. Sounds like our friend. Did he broadcast today? I haven't seen. I've been obsessed with the Karen Reed trial and the Pentecostalists, the charismatics. The people that uh, speak in tongues, the fake tongues. So I've been doing a lot of doing that. Um, Taz, I don't want to embarrass you, and I'll do this before Pat is here. Um, but it, it would be easy to be a fan of that. I know that everybody loves insulting her and stuff, but she's really. You meet her in person, and you're like, wow, this is like really attractive. It's like uh, it was like meeting. Sorry, meeting the potato, right? Like everybody always said, the reason why he wore the mask is because he was hideous. And he takes off the mask, right? You meet him in person, and he walked up to me and introduced. I was like, said my name, and I said I had to admit I didn't know who he was. And then he used his voice, and then, oh, I figured it out. Good looking guy, very much a good looking guy, and but from pictures, you don't expect that. And then Taz, also from pictures, you just, and I had an image in my head from the shit that people had said, and then when I met her, I was like, whoa. So very attractive, and enough of me talking about Taz stuff, because there's nothing creepier than an old man talking about women. Mintiggity Schmiel, you said that about me. Be careful what you believe. Now, man, you're you're a good egg for all of your annoyances and stuff. But you also did the. I think you were the guy. You were the guy that got the white, nice podcasting stupid hat, which I thought that was cool. But you were a good guy, and so let's just go here. No, I used to get always I would get like creeped out with Stuttering John when he would talk about women and women he banged, and or who he wanted to, and what he was doing after the show went off, because it's creepy, man. And no woman, I can't imagine that a woman wants to hear that stuff from a guy like him. It's gross, as they say. Gross. Sorry for burping there, kids. And I am going to do something very quickly here, because I'm not liking this. All right. Let's drop that down there. Let's get rid of that. Mm. All right. Much better. The light, for some reason, my light, I don't know what it is, but my camera keeps making me lighter and darker. And I'm already unattractive enough without doing this shit. Um, so if you guys have questions for Pat, you should load them up. Um, Frankly, I think he's a pretty cool guy, and uh, he's a pretty awesome poker player. Not as awesome as Patrick Melton, but then again, Patrick moved to Vegas with the thought that one day he might become a professional poker player, and so I think that we have that. In any event, the other night when I was trying to light a cigar, I couldn't get the freaking thing lit, and I was sucking on it so hard. Um, I was making squeaky noises. And yesterday I noticed on Pint Dabble Pint, they played a game of Guess What the Noise Is? And it was me making old people noises. So I, I, I was a little embarrassed and a little happy at the same time because it was cute. And anyway, if Patrick ever stops short, Schmuel is going to. Oh, sorry, Panhandler. If Patrick ever stops short, Schmuel is going to taste Patrick kidneys. I'm not really that much of a Melton fan. I was just. The reason why I said that is because when we were out in Vegas, we participated in a tournament, and everybody was done relatively quickly. But Melton wound up missing stuff because he was there for like 12 hours. And I had no idea how poker really works. So he played for like 12 hours, got to like the third table or something, and I think he got like $500 for it. And I was like, it's just a waste, you know? It's like streaming for 24 hours for $12 or whatever some of these guys make. So that's the deal. Geez, is that time? Let's get Pat on. Pat has the link. So when Pat arrives, Pat will arrive. I said about 8:15. Jason Bentley. I think he was waiting for Jason Bentley to arrive. I'm just here to watch Panhandler make friends. Something that rarely happens, I understand. Um, and he hates it when he does. There's nothing you could say to Panhandler, that'll annoy him more than say, "Wow, you're a good guy." Um, but what can I tell you? So yeah. So anyway, so Pat will be here momentarily, as I thought I had a million things to say, and then of course get on air, and then it takes me like a half an hour to figure out, to try to remember what I was doing because I have stuff to. Panhandler, I hate everyone. All right, so did Karmic um, stream today? Uh, did MLC stream? And oh, I did. You know what, MGD, this is not a bad idea at all. Let's do that. Um, while we wait for Pat, let me just pull it up here. And I know you guys I hate this, but I figure I'm competing with old men on the internet. I am competing with old men on the internet, so we all suck. So I just try to suck less than the other guy. Um, MGD, did you have a particular Brandon Deft video that you were referring to? And oh shit, oh Chad Buzamok, as opposed to Chad Zumach. No, don't tell me Chad Buzamok got demonetized as well. So um, yeah, so I got sucked into the emergency show yesterday until Cardiff came on, and I don't know, Chad's just a fucking idiot, but he's also the guy who's like he talks so much shit, right? And he's such an asshole about it because, to use the example of Atlantic City, Melton offered him Hackamania, and it was a serious offer. And Chad said he'd think about it, and that's all he had to do, um, was to think about it. But instead of thinking about it, he immediately got on stream saying that it was a scam and Melton was trying to fuck him and all this stuff. So he blew his chance at that. And then last week and the week before, he's going to quit YouTube streaming because he doesn't need this. He's got plenty of money. He's got everything. So he doesn't need it. Then he gets demonetized, and we're supposed to be concerned for him. So fuck him. And it looks like, are you ready? When Pat is ready, I'm going to put him on.
Hey, what's up? I guess I'm ready.
Pat Dixon. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Schmuel. Nothing, man. How you?
I'm good. The only instruction I received about you today was apparently you were on Pobo's Clowntown.
Yeah.
And you were hiding in the dark, and they wanted a lit Pat Dixon. So
I was hiding in the dark. Okay.
That's what yes.
Yeah.
Tell Pat to stop hiding in the dark.
A lot of people are like on that show. They don't even show their face at all. So I figured, like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see this anyway.
Were you on with Liam?
Yeah, I was on with Liam.
And did you guys converse at all?
Yeah, we conversed. There was nothing to talk about. There were no fireworks with me and Liam.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm more than happy to let it go that way. I mean, like,
no, I gotcha. I what's the word that I'm looking for? I saw Liam talking about Schmuel and lost my mind.
Oh, really?
He's just spreading the same bullshit that that everybody else does. He's like, KB proved that Schmuel didn't give the money to take back the night, and Schmuel never had the money, and and everybody knows the truth. So if you're doing this, you're just trying to grift. You're just trying to be annoying, and it's just like Liam has gotten into this thing of let me start fights. I'm gonna just start fights with people for no particular reason.
Yeah, it's too bad.
And
I mean, like, some people think there's some kind of fun in that. I guess, right? They do. They're like I mean, is he a troll or is he an entertainer, or what is he? Well, just some guy.
It depends upon your it depends upon your view. I think he's a troll. He thinks he's an entertainer, and I had a clip of him performing stand-up a long time ago.
Oh,
and
good.
I went to look for it today, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know if it's down or I just fucked up.
Oh, but, man, you should have grabbed it. Well, what did the clip show? Did you watch it?
It's very long. It's this, this like woke comedy, long story about, being 14 and going to a bar and blah, blah, blah.
But maybe it's more like one of those storytelling shows, that they have in New York City sometimes. They like, what do they call, The Moth or something? Maybe it was The Moth.
Well,
I think he did a lot of stuff like that.
His what do you call it? Yeah, well, he did he's always been he was in the what do you call it? The Girl Keith show. He was in that a lot, and with those people, and that was just a lot of amateurs, right? Who thought they were funny, and they would, their comedy would be telling stories about their lives.
It varied, they had all different kinds of. I was on there many times, 45 times, in fact.
Wow.
Yeah, but once you're on the outs, you're on the outs. I mean, like it's complete. Yeah, anybody when it's complete, that it can't be true.
Yeah, I just dug I did dig the fact that the guy is such a strong supporter of women. The ultimate male feminist of Keith, but he calls the show Keith and the Girl, not Keith and Kemda, not Kemda and Keith. Keith and the Girl.
Yeah, so Keith and some girl.
Yeah, let's propagate the misogyny.
Well, Hemda. It's not so fun to say. Hemda. It's
I,
actually pronounced with a phlegm at the front.
Kendla. Yeah,
Hemda. Yeah.
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 I had actually known her from someplace else, and
Really?
yeah, and I can't because of circumstance I can't say where, but she was not fun there either. So, and I've never seen her comedy, but just as a person in an environment, I would just be like, um, I wouldn't voluntarily ha- have talked to her.
I don't think she does comedy at all. Actually, I don't think she's. I don't even think not in the slightest. I've never known of her doing any sort of comedy,
She did.
and not in a Stevie Lou way, but like just I never like she never even got on stage.
Well, she did because she had her ass grabbed while she was on stage by Jackie the Joke Man.
Oh, like a live podcast or something. Probably.
Apparently, yeah, I don't know. She was doing a show, and Jackie the Joke Man apparently grabbed her ass,
Oh
and
boy.
she didn't say anything because of the position women are in,
Right,
and
because he would ruin her.
right, and then resented it for the next 15 years, and Jackie, of course, has no idea what she's talking about, but
Right.
there
Well,
you
it's like
go.
stick that in your little. You put it under your pillow, and then eventually you wake up, and it's a quarter, right? So you spend it. That's the way
Right.
it is with shit like that.
Yeah, it's amazing to me the shit that people hold on to though. I'm always I'm always blown away. And usually it's like something very innocent and something that you could have talked about, right? Like you could have approached the person the next day and said, "Hey, what is this?" And you'll find out that it was an innocuous thing,
Oh yeah,
you
or
know?
instantly. You could say something instantly.
Right. But I guess it's more fun to hold on to it.
Well, at
And
first, I'm sure she went through all permutations of I'm letting it go. I'm not going to make a big thing out of it. Hey, it's in the past. Hey, whatever. And then one day you're just like, well, why not? It's a slow news day. This seems like a good time to. And if nothing ever really materializes, in working with Jackie the Joke Man, he doesn't take
right.
her on to greater heights or whatever, which I'm sure they were hoping. Then like, yeah, let's go ahead. I think I'll go ahead and say this happened. If it did. I mean, whether it did or didn't, like you said, he has no idea what she's talking about. And who would care?
I know, right?
Who would care? If people got really need to relax about shit like that happened that long ago and see it for what it is would be nice. But people
Yeah.
love to repeat gossip. It doesn't matter how small or whatever. It's just needs to be a little bit I don't know, dirty or something or whatever. Just gossip is fun for people. And people know that. That's why they say it. That's why they say shit that isn't true. Because they know eventually, like if there's somebody they don't like, you keep saying something, eventually people do start repeating it.
What did Churchill say? A lie is halfway around the country by the time the truth gets its pants halfway on.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Around the world before the truth gets its boots on. Whatever. Yeah, truth needs to get dressed.
yeah.
And it takes time.
It's just very funny because I I whatever I would just
Hey,
I just find it so it seems to me to be very fucking hard to be woke. Like it's a lot of work to.
what are you talking about? It's the easiest thing there is.
Mm-mm. You got to sweat all this shit. You got to think about you doing the right decision, the wrong decision
No, you
every
point
time.
fingers and accuse and lie when necessary.
I can't walk into that, coffee shop because he's wearing a red hat. I don't know if it's a Trump hat, but I can't go in, and then I don't get my cup of coffee.
I don't think it goes that deep. I think if they want coffee, they go in.
I,
They're not. You really take them at their word. Like they really feel this way about stuff. They don't. I don't think. I
no, they
think.
don't. It's not that they feel it; they don't want to be seen doing it. That's the bigger
I'd
issue.
have to explain it in 10 years.
Yeah,
In 10 years when we're all 60 something,
Jackie,
70
Jackie the
something.
joke man, grab my ass. Yeah, well, I saw you go into Trump's coffee shop.
Mhm.
So,
Stupid.
So there we go. Yeah, the whole what can I tell you? But
It's an easy ideology. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to keep up with anything. All you have to know is that everybody's racist but you.
I had a back pre Mrs. Buckman when I was dating. I had was on like Match or one of those dating sites, and got talking to some chick in Brooklyn, and everything seemed great. We were going to go out and get coffee or something, and then she asked me who I voted for, and I said, "Why? What difference does that make?" And she explained to me that it was an essential part of a person to know these things, and blah 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 blah, and it got finally got down to her going, "Well, I'm going to be on a bus going to DC to protest. You're going to be walking around with your Trump T-shirt," and
Okay.
and or a Cheney T-shirt, I think was probably whoever the fucking president, vice
Cheney.
president was.
Oh
Worst
yeah, the
shot.
Dick Cheney T-shirts really took off.
What worst shirt of all time. So we've been. Well, let's talk about this first. What's the thing? What's with YouTube?
Oh, my channel's back. I just have to go through some steps to get it. Like, once it's gone for a year, you have to do something to re-monetize it or something. It's like you lose that somehow, or it goes away, and so that's a process. I think that's what's happening. I don't know.
Is it,
There were certain steps I had to do. My channel's up. It exists. I could be streaming on it, but I think I'm going to wait.
it was funny to me because I the other day I was looking at YouTube and I saw your name on the top. All the little avatars, and Pat Dixon, and then you told me that afternoon. I was like, oh, well, that explains that. You
Yeah.
know.
Hey, the
So
best part is now I can be a guest on MLC.
I was waiting. I was going to ask you if you were going to do that.
Hey, I can't wait to be on. It's going to be so much fun. I've really been looking forward to it. There's nothing stopping us now.
That's so
No
funny.
risk.
Oh wow! Except it should be pretty. It should be pretty interesting. So I'm trying to hold on a second. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this without showing off all the DMs I've gotten. I
Mm.
our buddy Karmic has claimed that I've been sending him the link um, dozens of times, and so
Right.
I didn't think I had. And then I went back and I looked at my Twitter DMs, and the answer is I have. And I think the first time was October of 24. So
October,
yes,
when he was not even streaming yet.
right. So
Oh man, you were an early adapter, man, trying to get clout through him.
so I don't know how to show the DM without doxing all the other DMs.
Well, I mean,
Oh
is it up to you to prove it, or is it up to him to prove it?
no, I do think because I wouldn't be proven. I wouldn't try to prove it if I thought I was trying to. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to show how what I think why it was so funny how my whole relationship with Karmic got started. So
Well,
let's
just tell
see.
me. I mean, like, yeah, we don't. If you show it, that's one thing, but
Yeah, it
just
doesn't.
explain it. And if
Yeah, I
somebody
don't think
demands that you show it, you can show it.
if somebody can help me figure out later, I'd be more than happy to post them. But because he told me to post them.
How many times did you DM him? I mean, like, looking for him to. How many times did you send him the link?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay. Okay.
The first thing is my first contact with him was in September 24th of 2024. And I sent him a DM. Hey, I'm trying to find someone to help Ray DeVito with clips and some podcast producing. Let me know if you have anyone in mind. Hey Schmuel, hope all is well. This is Karmic's response. Hey Schmuel, hope all is well. I personally have clipping, editing, podcast skills. I can guarantee result by the end of the day, provided there are timestamps to work from. But yeah, I work till at night till 11 at East, and my availability during the day is pretty short. But I am available in the AM to work quick. But I'm sure you guys are probably looking for someone more available during the day to assist. I have seen Rudy Baga clip before, but I don't know his schedule offhand. Um, and I sent back, thanks, how's it going? And he sent back, hey, Schmuel, it's going pretty well. And I sent him then on October 24th. I think it was one of the first shows I did. And I sent him not a link, but the show itself, a link to the show. And it was cool, man. I'll check this out now while at work. And I said, critiques welcome. And then we got into, which I think, because this is what I'm looking for when I ask you to watch my show. Hey, Schmuel, checked it out. Nice chat show, man. Caught the latest one with Sour and Cupcake. You keep the show rolling, which is important. It never stagnates. You get solid topics and points. But in any event,
One thing is you don't digress enough, but
but he was very Peter Sky Parker. Criticism I only have is I felt Sarah's mic was just a touch too loud. One fix for this would be to turn him down just slightly in the mix next time, because his voice completely eclipses everyone else while he interjects. Also, another thing, not sure what type of mic you use. I use Shure, so does Pat. I would also recommend you use an MC arm. I picked one up, and he just goes on to, and it was all very friendly back and forth.
yeah,
I
don't appreciate him doxing my mic brand, but
cool, yeah, cool. He's tinkering with OBS and he's learning, cool, man, blah, blah, blah. So then we get up to April 27, and I said he had been on KB's show. I did probably something that you did. I just want to get to this year. So I said, great job with KB. He's like, thanks, man. That was a wild one. And I said, your streams are addictive. Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot. Gonna go live at 1 a.m. East if you're into it. Fuck yes, man, was the response. And then the next day, sorry I couldn't make it, man. I was in a whirlwind of drunken stupor last night. Right? There's no way I can watch myself. Ha ha. But definitely in the future. Thanks again. And so in any event, I just, that's how it started, and that's like where did all of a sudden the hate come from? And I remember with you, it was essentially the same thing. Like, you were a good guy. When we talked originally, you were like, no, this guy's the real deal. He's going to be around.
Which I still say he's going to be around.
And man, what do you call it? Dave Sauer better not be timing anybody out. Dave is my usual co-host and only mod, but I didn't want to have him in tonight because I have you. So what? But
what, he doesn't like me?
What generated? No, he's annoying. Oh, this is very funny. Schmuel numero uno Josh Denny fan, who I can always count on for a positive comment. Schmuel is like if one of those side characters from BYB did their own show, I guess. But
side characters,
yeah.
Like who? Granny?
No, the other night I fucking laughed out loud with you talking about histrionic personality disorder, and the guy thinking that was somebody that was obsessed with history.
That was a bit, I think.
Man has a nut. No, it wasn't a bit. It definitely wasn't a bit. You can tell a bit. It wasn't a bit.
Surely. Well, hey, I've never heard of that personality disorder. Obsessed with history.
I know. And it was very, I thought it was fucking hilarious.
That would be a great personality disorder.
It's got a unnatural attraction.
Oh, this shit again. Just like the 15th century.
We have those. We do have those guys on. We do have those guys on here. Numero uno, Josh Denny fan. Never read one of my comments again, dummy.
Damn. I told you right there not to do it.
He comes at. Oh wait, Frank, can I say something to Pat Schmuel?
Oh boy, this is going to be
Go ahead,
hateful.
Frank.
Very hateful. I'm sure of that.
He's gonna tell you he loves you, man.
Well,
That you're like the funniest comedian in the world.
I bet. I bet.
Well, he's not.
When the chat asks first, you know it's got to be bad.
I ask. It's funny, man. I asked people when I was promoting this afternoon. I asked people for questions. If anybody had any questions for you, and nobody did.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Damn.
Nobody that I thought.
I am super unpopular.
Oh, so this is what do you call it? Frank always likes to take these opinions. So with me, it's he's a pro-Palestinian, and tonight it's Frank, Pat. I think you're very funny, but someone's got to defend black people, so I'll chip in. And you're finger biting, gift buying for 13-year-old's friend every now and then.
For my what? Finger biting, gift buying for 13-year-old's friend every now and then. I don't know what that is.
I don't either. Maybe we could run it through AI. And
what gift buying did I do for a 13-year-old's friend? For a friend of mine who is 13, or for a friend of 13-year-olds?
I'm gonna believe that he's talking about Anthony, but because that usually comes up. That
finger biting,
13-year-old stuff, but I don't know the finger
chip
biting.
Me and my finger bite. Well, I mean, like, what do I do against black people? That's what I don't understand. Like, it's funny. People will just say, like, "Oh, he's racist." Well, when? Why? How? What I do? What I say? I mean, I don't consider myself to be racist at all. I'd say 9 out of 10 of my friends are black. Probably. I consider myself a black man.
My best friends are black is the.
No, 9 out of 10 of my friends. No, the best ones are the 1 out of 10. No, don't get me wrong, but that is still a large quantity. 90%.
It is.
That's crazy.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't. There's just no reality to it. I don't mind real criticisms. And there are some. But I mean, with the fake ones, it just seems kind of like, what do you mean somebody has to? First of all, everybody stands up for black people. Almost everybody does. It's a very in thing to do. I do, for that matter.
That's
if it's just black people in general, you know what? Here's standing up for black people. We need more policing in the inner cities and in the projects. According to black people want that. Black people want more police in their neighborhoods.
Right. But the
woke people say they're over policed. Right. So who's really standing up for black people?
The what do you call it? The outsized opinion of the few really weighs down on the many. So back in the 90s, I worked for an insurance company. And it was a union. I was in a union, which was actually pretty funny. But my territory was a couple of buildings that were housing projects. And you would go in them, and there were never any lights in the hallway. And no matter what, it was always dark. And I talked to one of the guys there, and he goes, "Well, you can't have the lights on." Because they put in new lights all the time, but they just break the lights because that's where all the stuff goes on the staircases. And you're like, and why do elevators smell like piss? And I'm just like,
because people piss in them.
Exactly. But I'm like, is this what you want to go home to? Like, don't you want more cops? And did you know a guy named Roy Richter?
No.
He was the head of the police captains union in New York City for about 10 years. And when he was very first a cop, he went on to the housing police. And he was in East New York with his partner. They were coming down in the elevator.
Are there projects in East New York?
Yeah. Oh. So he opens up the elevator door opens, and there's a guy standing there with like an AK-47 holding on to it. and strapped with guns, just getting on the elevator, going from one floor to another. And he was very surprised when the door opened and two cops were there. And they actually arrested him. And I don't know who the commissioner was at the time, but that's where he started his drive to deputy inspector. So that's where he wound up.
For that bust?
Well, he was a smart guy. This is a guy who went in. He had a couple of years of college. He went to college, and then he went to law school. He did everything, and oddly, he was the happiest guy. I had a great family, met a beautiful woman, got married, had 3 beautiful daughters, all 3 good college. The guy had everything, and then on his wife's birthday in 23, he blew his brains out.
Damn. He got white privilege to death.
Mm-hmm. And
had everything going for him.
And yeah, and so do you know Liz Crokin?
No.
So she's one of these like right-wing journalist types, and the very crazy, the Epstein files, the world is run by pedophiles, and all that other stuff. So she puts out an article that Roy was one of the very few people that saw Anthony Weiner's laptop, and he knew that pedophiles were running the country, and they had to put him down. Very fucking stupid.
I don't know. Who knows? It's an interesting allegation.
Yeah, well, nothing to do with reality, but definitely an interesting allegation. There we go, Pat. Let me run this a second time so you can see it. Echo Pineapple.
Hey.
Pat Dixon, you smug prick. How the devil are you?
Oh, swell, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Pineapple.
Appreciate that.
For your $3.
What do you take of that? We take $2 of that.
Yeah, this is the
Schmuel morning show.
$2.70. I barely ever.
No, $2.
I barely ever. No.
Is that a super tip?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's different.
I'm not monetized yet, Pat. I need subscribers.
So $2.70, nice.
That's my issue. But let's just say I'm gonna play. I have not figured out how to do voice tips.
Was it the Pineapple did the other day? The Pineapple said something. Oh, he said that I was wrong for what I said about super tips. I didn't say anything about super tips. I didn't. All I did was what I was completely entitled to do in that situation. That's all that I did. So I mean, like, if you look, it was fine. There were no fucking laws broken. There were no policies broken. Stripe didn't have any problem. Everybody's fine. That information was not even privileged. I mean, like, she made that plain. So, as far as her name goes, nothing got done. I mean, be stalked for a while, I guess, and then see how you respond.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, no offense.
She seems quite out of it, my friend. And that's the big, like, a lot of guys keep asking the question, like, what the fuck was Pat thinking? And when you dated her.
She's nothing like when I dated her. I mean, like, she's very charming one-on-one, very charming. And yeah, that was before she came back and started saying terrible things about me. I had no idea. I mean, like, how is one to know that,
Yeah.
But I mean, without going into it to a lot of detail, I begged her to leave for a long time. She did. And then this. So,
yeah.
It's 2 years since we broke up. Why are we even still talking?
And look, I don't know. Have you had the, this is from Taz, the resident artist. I love Mr. Schmuel, not like that.
Careful how you throw that word around.
I won't be crying, yes. That word, you use that word. I laugh because I use that word all the time. And then I was telling, I tell people I love them all the time. It's just part of my vernacular, And
it's part of everybody's vernacular. A lot of people say shit like that, like it's more like at the end of a show, the end of one of these, oh, love you, whatever, everybody, I love you, Seattle, like a rock band or something. It doesn't mean, and it's not. Nobody takes it that way. That's just that's silliness. It's just straight up silliness.
Uh,
Trying to escape accountability. I think. Somebody
I
feels stupid about something and they try to make it not them. But real quick, what I'd rather mention, since we're talking about super tips, nothing was done to my super tip account at all. I saw Chad. I mean, like just before we started doing this, I saw that Chad had tweeted something about something happened to my super tips, that Patrick did something to my super tips. Nothing like that happened. Patrick didn't do anything to my super tips. My super tips are fine.
Yeah. Say what you will about Melton, he's not going to fuck with the money. It's just not his.
It says messed with Pat Dixon with the super tip system. No, he didn't do that. Messed with me. I can't believe Chad trying to like fucking sort of quasi take my side on something. That's ridiculous.
Well, he's taking your side because you can, he wants to piss off Melton and he likes to create problems. And he's been complaining over and over and over again since yesterday about he was demonetized and yesterday, and he's believing that it's because somebody reported him. And then part of his, like, in his imaginations, it was Alex Stein. And then it was Melton doing it because he'd been slamming super tips all last week. So, but Moody in his chat even said, Chad, we'll help you out. Okay, yes, we got $10 from, Mr. Starry. And
nice.
if we could ever play it, why is this doing this? Sorry. I have, it must be my setup, but my browser and whatnot, I have issues with this. And then I sent Patrick a note last week saying I was having a problem and did he have a suggestion? And he told me to read the manual. And I wrote him back and I said, if I hadn't read it, I wouldn't have sent you an email. And then he said, Schmuel is mad at me because I couldn't help him. And I'm like, that's absolutely not true. Let's just,
well, that's what keeps it entertaining, like that's what keeps it entertaining, right? People, being honest is not as entertaining as sort of twisting it a little bit, I guess people think.
So Starry for $10, asking for the people, what other streams are you doing tonight, Pat? Also loved you all.
Oh, shit.
We're gonna get they can't stand me, so
I'm gonna do my regular
shitting on you, and I'm not doing it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna do my regular Rumble stream at, I guess, either 10 or 11. I'll start by 11. I'll certainly be on.
Cool. There you go, Starry. Thank you for the $10.
Thank you. Yeah,
appreciate it. So YouTube didn't like apologize or anything, right?
Yeah, they did.
But this is the part that makes me crazy. Is like, okay, you didn't do anything wrong. You lost your stream, your monetization, whatever. You've been unable to earn income from that for a year. And it's like, oops, sorry, we made a mistake. Right? Like, yeah, I don't know. There should be some compensation for this.
They said to make up for it, your channel is up right now.
Wow.
So I just responded to that tweet, by the way, just to make it plain.
The Chad tweet?
Yeah. Melton did nothing to my super tip system ever. He very helpfully offered it to me the day I lost my channel over a year ago. And I started using it that very night, and no problems since. Thank you, Patrick Melton.
Yeah, I have no complaints. Because it was, they set me up pretty quickly.
Thank you, sorry.
I was slower at it than they were. And it was like, because I just took time to do it and I wasn't really ready and I didn't know how to. I'm so free chat heavy. I didn't know how to like start to. I didn't feel like I was deserving of anyone's money. So.
Jeez. Well, that makes two of us.
I wasn't. I didn't know it. All right. Let's just see what numero uno Josh Denny fan. MGD. I asked Karmic for his thoughts on Giorgio Moroder, who no less than 5 different times he ghosted me, and then says on MLC Marauder is one of his favorite artists. It's war now. Okay,
Everybody has a different
this
weird
time it's
issue
personal. Yeah, right.
with Karmic.
That's why I like Reels. You know Reels?
I know I've heard the name a lot of times, but I don't
Yeah,
know Reels personally.
he's got the classic fetish. He just likes feet, right? He's into women's feet, and I'm like, that I can live with. You know, not some other crazy, you know, who was the one that did, somebody did one the other night with the woman that was, maybe you were talking about it, a woman obsessed with her shit or other people's.
Sounds like something I would talk about, but I don't recall that.
Mm. And, or the hoarders and stuff. And, so I'm going to bring up a sore subject, but I want to do it anyway. You said that of all the things that you've done in comedy, nothing affected you more and you didn't hear about it as much as you did oversleeping at Hackamania.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly what I said, but I said
Well, I'm
something like that.
paraphrasing.
What I think
Right.
what I meant to say, if I didn't, was that that may be my biggest professional regret, because it
There you
is
go.
rare. It's not defining of me. It's not typical. It's atypical. It's yeah. I mean, I've been to Montreal and I went to Aspen Comedy Festival, and I went to the first what was the one Moon Tower that they have in Austin, you know. And I've been to
Mhm.
festivals. I went to the stupid fucking they have a Johnny Carson one in Nebraska, you know. I mean, I've been to a lot of festivals and I've done a lot of shows. And I had food poisoning when I did my half hour special, and I did it anyway. I mean, I literally was throwing up, you know, just and horrible gastric problems, you know, for 12 hours leading up to it. Had a high fever and did it anyway. Sweating, you can see me, you know. I mean, it was bad. They had a doctor come and give me a B12 injection, you know, and I did it.
You're like Voss getting oxygen in Aspen.
Yeah, I mean, and so it's not normal for me to like just like, oh well, fuck it, and sleep through something. It wasn't like that at all, not at all.
Brendan Schaub, MJ Ranger, Brendan Schaub claims to have headlined Moon Tower. Is Moon Tower still happening, or has that been pretty much taken over by Rogan moving to Austin?
I don't know, man. I haven't been festival watching quite as closely as I used to earlier in my career.
Have
It's
you
not
been to
really.
Skankfest?
I did the first Skankfest back in New York when
That
it
was
was
in New.
just it was just like at Creek in the Cave. It was a very small thing.
Wow, I got into a fight with Rebecca Trent at Creek in the Cave.
You did?
Yeah, we both own businesses in the same place. It was a Twitter fight. We
What,
both
in
own.
Long Island City?
Yeah, so she's in Long Island City, and I was in another community very close, and
Greenpoint, probably.
and she kept asking. She was like big with the city council and stuff, and she kept wanting them to spend money on this and on that, and I was like, let them spend their own fucking money. You know, it was just everything was killing me. The taxes were killing me. I pay $62 a month to have one bag of garbage picked up every once a week, you know? And she's like, "Oh, we want shuttle buses here and we need this and we need that." And it was just like, "Rebecca, you got to stop. You got to stop asking for stuff." And but she was also very much into the Democratic Party over there. She had that Mike Gianaris was like she was a big support. She was a very big supporter of the lefty stuff.
But join the right team, you know. I mean, like, let's face it. That if you're in New York, you might as well be rooting for the Democrats.
Right. But I do believe she was on the sort of um, anti-Amazon team, you know, like big with AOC. I don't know.
Really?
You remember when so
Yeah, I remember
what
that.
yeah,
She
when people right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
she fucked up the whole thing. I mean, Amazon was going to come and bring all these jobs and money and stuff like that, and yeah, AOC was like, "What? We don't like." She wasn't getting her cut basically, and so she was mad about it. And
Eh,
then it was like all worked out, a done deal, and then Amazon pulled out, went someplace else.
Well, it needed like 2 or 3 more approvals, and Mike Gianaris, who was the senator from there, our councilman, had been against it since the beginning. But he was against it for the reasons you just said. He wasn't getting his cut. They weren't spending money where he wanted them to spend it,
Right.
and they had they did NJ Ranger. Amazon pulled out of the place. They chose after that, only after getting tax breaks, though. They had plenty of tax breaks in New York, plenty. But this had to do with uh, a helicopter. It was the heliport that they were going to build in Long Island City. He needed a variance for that, Bezos, and there were a couple of like small things, but that was a done deal. My wife worked in the Citibank building, which, if you guys don't know, if you're coming out of Manhattan, it's the tallest building in Queens. Coming over the 59th Street Bridge, you can't miss it.
Yeah.
She worked in that building. They made her entire company move out for Amazon space,
Hmm.
and
And
they
then it ended
moved,
up not happening.
and then it didn't happen. And actually, she worked at the time for Citibank, I guess, in the doxing her. But the funny part of the story is like Citibank kind of wanted to leave there anyway, but they had a really long-term lease, so they get out for the Amazon deal. And then you read it was Valentine's Day, right? Amazon backs out of the deal, and on the day after, Citibank sends out, "Yeah, we know the Amazon deal's done, but it hasn't changed our plans." Because then they were begging Citibank to stay in City Tower, and they never did. And but I but I always think like New York classically fucks itself. It always gives away more than it's going to get. Um,
Hmm.
but that neighborhood now, that area is completely different than what you remember.
Oh yeah, because it was really coming up.
Hmm.
Rents were going up. I mean, there were like all these new apartment buildings going up. These really nice ones where NFL players live there and shit.
Yeah, my wife was telling me about one of the people that worked with her was paying like $4,500 for a 1 bedroom apartment in one of those new buildings with the
Mm.
doorman. And the
Yeah.
guy's like, "Oh, they have a barbecue, and they have like we have parties, and they schedule." And I'm thinking like, I go home to be left alone. you know,
Right. It's a whole
I don't.
community.
Yeah, and they're very much into that, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger over
Oh, so
time.
wait, you mean it's okay? So I thought you were going to say that it wasn't coming up anymore. That it was ruined.
Well, like City Tower is empty. A lot of the big stuff. I mean, the prices dropped. Some of the rents went down, but what they've done is they built a lot of condos that overlook the river, and those things are always popular. Um, but it's like a nice white community now. Like you can take your dog to the dog park, and it's not pit bulls, you know. Um, and women that tell you things to do. It's amazing, and they sit around. They have like a lot of strollers, a lot of nannies. They made a joke about Opie the other day because he made a comment about a black woman with a white kid, and Opie said, "Oh, they're all nannies here," and the people making the comment were like, "Oh, like a black woman couldn't have a white child," and I'm like, "No, he's right. He's right. It's
No,
the
it's a fact. I mean, come on.
yeah, it's
oh, oh, everybody's looking for a gotcha all the time. That's just a fact. Yeah, there's tons of black nannies with white kids.
a lot of
Not one,
yeah.
like several. Usually, like got one walking along, and they always look very overworked.
I think they are. It's really hard for me if I have a contractor working on the house. I'm like, do you need some water? Would you like some coffee? I'd be the kind of guy to bring over a cooler of beer. uh, you know, and these people are like one of my neighbors is like he's on them and he's nickels and dimes them, and he's always asking them for something a little extra. And I hear that's what happens to these nannies is they're supposed to take care of the kid, and then it's like, could you do a dish or two? And then the next thing you know, you're cleaning for the ricadas.
Yeah.
And so it's
I think I'm the only one who hasn't seen the body cam footage yet.
well, it's not out.
Oh, it's not? I thought it was.
No, he Minnesota has a law that if it's on private property, um, you're entitled to privacy.
Okay, well
With
that seems reasonable to me.
exactly, exactly.
Sorry, that it does seem reasonable.
So,
Everybody would want to see it, of course.
and it was technically never entered into evidence. So Nick got a court order sealing it, and the guy from Kiwi Farms is losing his mind because he kept promising for weeks that it was coming out, and he intimated that he either had April or the nanny on his side, and one of those people, if they wanted it out, it possibly could have gone out. So
Oh,
Nick did
really?
show, yeah, Nick showed pictures of his house today that the cops took during the raid, and it's just
It's
it's
a
a
little
mess.
sloppy. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah,
right?
sloppy, like a lot of shit laid around and cables running everywhere, books on the floor.
Oh, it's a house with 5 kids and some people doing coke. So
And ketamine.
yeah, and other stuff. Yeah, and
But
I guess drinking quite a bit and streaming for a living.
yeah, well, there was a great one of the funnier things that I thought in there was when the cops went in, they noticed a uh, nitrous
Like a tank.
tank. Yes, thank you for helping my old Bidenist a moment. That there was a nitrous tank in the house, and I'm just like, Keanu, you're full of shit about these whippets, but the guy does have a home nitrous tank, so
Yeah, it's not a whippet. It's just straight up nitrous.
I
Same
gotta
thing. It's just whippets are if you just want to do it once.
The only whippets I've ever done are the Ready Whip containers.
Yeah.
In the store, and then we would go in and go to the back, and then the guy would come out yelling, chasing us with a broom to get the hell out of there.
You get the hell out of here. Yeah,
Well,
of course. Yeah. I mean, like in the restaurants that I worked in, it's mostly before my time, but they would have the ready whip or whatever would be in the in the cooler, and employees go back and they would suck it up. I mean, that's just part of restaurant work at that time.
here's from our friend Panhandler. Stop sucking off Patrick, Schmuel. You're way too old to be a fangirling out, comrade.
Why do they say these things? Why do they, like we're friendly? I mean, what should you be doing to me?
I wonder if I'm sucking off the other Patrick, if that's what he means.
Oh, Patrick Melton. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's more like it.
I
You
think
are
that,
sucking him off totally.
and somebody will put in here, he's talking about Melton, dummy, like they did before when they put in there, your people are so fucking stupid. It was Kumia he was talking about or earlier. Do you know this guy, Chris Mack?
Maybe.
Chris Mack, I'm so confused as to how the Kiwi Farms guy, who's constantly soliciting cryptocurrency donations in order to keep his site running, is going to fund a lawsuit against the county for footage. Yes. I guess they're running I don't want to say it's not a technical GoFundMe, but they're looking for donations to sue the county in Minnesota to get the body cam footage released. But
Is it like that? I mean, if something's against the law, you could just give a bunch of money to the county.
I guess they're going to sue and say it's in the public interest.
Oh, that there's a really in the public interest. Come on, that's going to be tough to prove.
So the only time that they said
we need to get word to their kids.
the in Minnesota, from what I understand, the only time it comes out 100% is if there's a police involved shooting, if it's on public property. But there is a right to some privacy. So, like I said before, so if it's in your house, it's not entered into evidence, we don't need to have it out there. I bet somebody like Stuttering John would have loved to have not had his body cam footage out there. And when you're being body cam, usually you're not at your best. I would say if you're in I can't get the words out. If they're fucking photoing you with your body cam, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, people aren't at their best during a police interaction of any kind usually. So, of course.
I was in a car accident about a month ago, 2 months ago, and the Jersey state trooper had a body cam. Walked up, told me he had a body cam on, which is fine. Takes my info, then he leaves, then he comes back, and he's asking me a couple of questions because there were divergent opinions about how the accident happened. And I started to explain it to the guy, and in my head I went, "I'm gonna fucking body cam." Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how anything happened. And that was the end of it. But my favorite part of the story is somebody called the tow truck, and the damage to my car was not tow truck worthy,
Right.
but the tow truck operator was insisting to the state trooper that it needed to be towed anyway. And I was like, this guy's not getting. He wants his money. He's not getting his money.
Yeah.
So that's all I do. All right.
Did he get it
So
towed? Was he able to do it?
no, no. There was no reason to do it. And I was surprised because, from what I understand, based upon the woman's story, I would have thought that he would have asked me to get out and walk a line or something. But nothing.
Thank God he didn't.
Nothing happened. Yeah, I know, right? I
You
can't
don't want to
do
be
it
on body cam footage doing that.
on a good day. Yeah. But it was.
I mean,
it was
even if you're sober, it's just like a bad look,
and you got to answer the stupid questions, and I can't do the ABCs forward, let alone backward.
Yeah, I know. It's a hard thing. There must be a certain way you suck at it if you're drunk, as opposed to sucking at it sober. Because I think most people are not going to be able to do that. I mean, a lot of people don't even speak English in New York,
I know. And they certainly don't when they're pulled over by the cops. I was in Hoboken and I got stopped by the police on a little stand-up scooter, little motorized scooter for running a red light. Me and another guy who's delivering for like Grubhub, and he immediately went into. He's a Grubhub driver, so he's the delivery guy on a bicycle. So he's foreign, whatever. And all of a sudden, he didn't speak English anymore. He only spoke French. And it was just the funniest thing because the cop was like, "Yeah, you only speak French. I know." He must have heard it a dozen times that day. So I
So
did not
I guess the idea is that it's just going to be such a pain in the dick that you're just like, whatever.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Exactly. Well, it turned out that all the tickets that were written that day were not filed with the court, so nobody had to pay a fine.
Nice.
So there you go. Well, they instituted. You like this one. They instituted a law here where the motorized bikes that are used for delivery, the drivers are required to wear green vests, have lights, and all of that stuff. But the woke people do not want it enforced because it's going to affect a marginalized group who are just trying to make a living.
Going to affect them how? They have to wear a vest?
Negatively, yes.
and have a properly fucking outfitted scooter? What I mean, like, they're already making a big allowance for them for that to be legal anyway. I mean, they're the only ones who basically brought those things in. The motorized bicycles were all delivery people. So, like, yeah, okay, we're going to let you do this, but all we ask is that you do. Nope, can't do that even.
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing. There was your buddy Seth Barron was on that early on.
Yeah, he hates them. He hates those motorized bikes.
Everybody hates him, and then he was like, because then they started with they wanted to start limiting them because they were getting so dangerous, and it was like, well, the delivery drivers are much older today than they used to be, so they need these pedal-assisted bikes, and guys like Barron are like, pedal-assisted bikes are one thing. These fucking things, they press a button and go 20 miles an hour and ride in the bike lanes.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. And they're a complete. They're a menace. I mean, it is a problem. They do go around fast. They don't obey any sort of restrictions, regulations, anything like that. Sort of like the cyclists. They have all these lanes, and they're not. You can't count on them to use those. They're kind of everywhere.
no, and they'll give you the finger if you like, if they're in the middle of the street, they'll like give you the finger and blow the horn at you.
Oh yeah, they'll tear off your side mirrors and shit like that. They're just dicks.
I was on Queens Boulevard one day driving to work when the cyclist decided that it was the Boulevard of Death. So they got like five across and rode at 2 miles an hour down the boulevard. And you're like behind them and you just, I could see, you ever see those guys that like lose their mind? It was the guy in Panama pulled the gun on them. He went out. I don't know if he shot anybody, but he pulled the gun on the protesters laying in the road. Like, get out of the road.
Oh yeah, that was a while back, right? Yeah, yeah.
And
But it was starting to get that way. They were getting pretty upset, huh?
I could do that. I could do that. And yeah, and New York City's been supposedly cracking down on this, but for years, particularly during COVID and post COVID, they didn't enforce any laws. So now trying to get motorcycle insurance, like scooter insurance in New York City, because they do now require them to be registered, is almost impossible.
Well, they can't do anything about these. I mean, like motorcycles, like they have the dirt bikes; those are not legal in the city. Now, if there's one guy with a dirt bike, you go, okay, maybe they could do something. They'll show up 200 or 300 in force, and just block off a bridge and ride wheelies up and down the bridge. That just, for fun. It's really fucked up, and there's nothing. I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't mow them down.
No, and they do get that with like 30 or 40 ATVs.
Yeah.
And it's the 59th Street Bridge is the one that always happens to me on. And it's like, basically, we're going to do tricks and video ourselves doing tricks on the Queensboro Bridge. We don't care whether you go back and forth.
Yeah, we don't care when you get home, if you get to work, if you shit your pants, if you lose your job, if you get home and your wife is mad, your baby's sick, whatever. It doesn't matter. Go to the hospital, go to the doctor. None of that shit. Fuck you, we're doing tricks.
It's a big W, simply because if you ascertain that in a certain way on a human, wow, it happened. On a human being level, a real man like me will discern it on a real level, if that makes sense. I think he's imitating our boy Karmic. So do you know what created the? Do you know what created the problem with him, or is it? And this is the question I keep asking: is his dislike of you just all the work to get on Brennan?
I don't think it's a work. I think he talked himself into it. And I think that he had voices over, in his DMs and in his chat saying, Pat Dixon's doing this. Pat Dixon's doing that. Pat's shit talking you. Pat shows you no respect. Pat, it's anybody's guess who these people in the chat are, I mean, I don't think that we have to look too hard. There's not too many people who really hate my guts enough to try to really get one of my supporters, from tipping me anymore, or get them away from my chat. And then he starts going on MLC. It's like there's really, maybe he's listening to the wrong people, but it's not the wrong people. It's the right people. Like, he should go on MLC if he gets a chance to do that. And I told him publicly on my show, I'm like, look, man, we don't have to fight at all. All you got to do is just go on MLC. You don't have to defend me. Nothing. Just go in peace. Because I knew it was going to come to some shit like that, where like we have to sort of pretend, that there's some kind of big issue, so that he doesn't. I think it's like one of those things that people do so they don't feel bad about it. Like he doesn't want to feel bad about it. All I know is, like, as far as what actually happened, it's as simple as this. He's in the chat. Everything's fine. Then this MLC business starts, and they start yelling at him on MLC about what a terrible fucking person I am and shit. How dare you support him? Don't give him any more money. Stay away from Pat Dixon. Then, after a particularly hard day of that with Keanu and the other one, he starts crying on stream later and declaring his love for Tass. Now, we made fun of that. Because why wouldn't we? It was insane. We were shocked. So yeah, we watched it. I think we sniped it even, because people were like, "Oh, he's declaring his love for Taz right now." So we started sniping it, and he says he's mad at us for turning on him because of that, because you expressed yourself and you put yourself out there and then you turn on me, like it's like, so he feels that he says that he feels that we turn. I mean, like, the thing is, if you have to ask this much, it's like, well, what does anybody see anything? Does anybody see any reason why he's so mad? I don't think so. But I mean, there are people who are so, like, they latch onto a team and they, maybe they don't like me that much to begin with, or maybe they're MLC fans. And so, if you can't really be a fan of the MLC and like me, it's kind of like discouraged over there. Yeah, so, then they're going to just go like, oh, sweet Karmic did nothing to anybody ever, and now you turn on him. But nobody ever says exactly what the turning on him was.
I got to tell you, it's very funny. Like, you've made fun of me on your show.
Yeah.
On several occasions. One, when I suggested you send me clips to get you out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for, right? We want people to talk about us. We're just like, and we want to get this stuff pointed out to us. Yeah, frankly, I think what happened is that he really did, like, that Taz is, she's an amazing girl, and he really, really did develop an affinity for her. And then he didn't know what to do with it. And it was like, he was really drunk, really in his feelings, and basically it was like, it was a love-hate, it's like the guy who breaks up with the ex-girlfriend, like, she's a cunt. And then 5 minutes later, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. And again, MKE at least met Mazzy, right? And they at least had a relationship.
Yeah. 8 times they got together.
Metal is Felicia watching? I'll bet she is.
Who knows, man? Yeah, she might be.
She'll probably strike my channel tonight.
For what? I'm on YouTube.
I know he had that evil man on again. Hey guys, let's not forget, you're welcome to use supertip.gg/Buckman, and feel free to ask questions and also help with things. Pat's walking away. While Pat's away, what do we want to talk about? Should you got any questions for this? For him? Ari Jane. She's always watching. I have to wait for Pat to put his headphones back in. Pat, have you ever actually met Ari Jane?
No.
I was lucky enough to meet her in Detroit, and lovely young lady.
Yeah, I've seen her. She's lovely.
But in person, she's even more like, you're like, it just feels like a person you could just be comfortable with and talk to. And probably that's why Ray DeVito blew it.
Are you declaring your love now for
yes,
Jane?
yes.
At least
if anything happens to Mrs. Buckman, Ari Jane, I'm on my way out there. But even Mrs. B liked her. And I have been, I think, officially DeVito'd, by the way. Ray has not spoken to me in 2 weeks, and I was getting phone calls every day. And I told him not to go, like, he couldn't call me and complain about the Dabbleverse and then go on Kevin's show and then complain about getting shit on Kevin's show and the people coming over to his chat and then super chatting him shit. And so the last time he called me, I actually yelled, and he's refused to speak to me since.
Have you called him?
No.
Okay, so you haven't tried to communicate. He just isn't.
Actually, no, I did. Apparently a week ago or a week and a half ago, I sent him a text that said, "How are you doing?" which usually would generate an immediate response.
Right.
And so I've been DeVito'd. But
well, I can't speak to that. I don't know about that. Maybe you had that was like an important part of your relationship with him, in his mind. But like it is one of those things that if you advise a guy like 1,000 times, like, hey, this is not you're hurting yourself, you're doing it to yourself. I can understand your point.
What? So what do you think? Why do these guys go on there though? I mean, you're like one of the few people that can handle Brennan, and these other these co-hosts that he has now is it's like, oh, I, come on, they go on there, they just get shit on, he abuses them, and then they're back.
I don't know. I mean, like, I guess it keeps them in the conversation. I understood it for Chad and Stevie Lou. I understand it with guys like Stevie Lou and Chad because they literally have nothing without MLC. I mean, like, literally nothing. They would be nowhere. Nobody would know who they are at all. And then, like, you could argue the same for me in a way, but, like, I mean, it's not quite true. I mean, I think that I got a lot of visibility out of being on MLC. He did help me with the channel initially, and he even paid for 1/10 of my lawyer.
Wow.
Paid for 1/10 of my lawyer. It's a lot of money. It's $1,500 that he gave. Gave me $1,500 and didn't want it back.
Wow.
So like, okay, thanks. And so he did help me a lot, but like people did sort of know who I was. It's like I've been doing comedy for a long time, and I've been on Compound and whatever. So it's not like it didn't help, but it didn't make me completely. So I think that's what it is. To answer the question, is that like that is the only place for somebody like and Chad's kind of like made his own stream work a little bit. He sort of talked to outside of MLC a little bit. He gets talked about a little bit. On his own, but like some of these other guys don't. They never do anything. Nothing works.
Nothing at all. I have actually become, I don't want to say friendly, but communicating with Stevie Lou. I got just before Hackamania, which he wasn't at, I got a DM from him saying he couldn't remember why we were arguing. And could we just let bygones be bygones? And I was like, yeah, sure.
I would say yes to that anytime too. I mean, Stevie is like not a fucking. I have no reason to be an enemy of Stevie Lou. He just is. He needs to impress KB or make him happy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a default enemy of Stevie Lou. There's nothing actually there.
I do love when Brennan will have somebody on who's actually interesting or funny, and they will say a joke. And Kevin will act like he doesn't understand it, and then Stevie will explain it. And it's like throwing a spike strip across the road. Frank always has something fun to say. Ray makes an extra $10K a year because of KB. How do you not understand that, Schmuel? Jesus. Not according to, I mean, I know that he's paid him that much money, but
what do the latest figures indicate?
Ray thinks he could, make it on his own. I always feel like I wouldn't want money from KB because I always feel like he'd give you the 1,500, but then he'd hold it over your head for the rest of your life. Now he probably didn't do that with you.
No, in fact, he said keep it secret. He said never tell anybody. So
how did that come out?
I think Bob mentioned it one time when Bob got mad at me because I took simply because you remember when they had the water throwing incident, and I said that I don't know, over on the Schmuel network they were declaring victory over that and talking about how Bob like really kicked ass and everything, and they were just like having this big victory celebration over there on the Schmuel network like right after it happened, and I didn't see how it was such a big victory, and so I tweeted about that. And then he was like, "Oh well, Kevin paid for your lawyer, and Bob and I are friends, whatever. None of that's, we don't care about that." But that is where it came out.
Okay, yeah. Poor Bob. Bob is like nowhere now.
No, Bob is. He had 5,000 viewers the other day when he was on with what's his name,
Perry,
yeah.
Right, but when he does his own show, he gets about 100.
Well, whatever. It's 100.
I understand.
Karmic gets 100. People want to throw a fucking party,
But he was, Karmic thinks he's killing it at 100. Everybody they want to suck off my clout.
I mean, come on. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, you got to appreciate the confidence, I guess. You know, you got to appreciate the
I,
delusional
my
quality there.
star is rising, and they're all trying to hook on to me.
When you look at the YouTube analytics on Karmic's YouTube page, it's going up. I mean, it's up like a shot. So I can see we're looking at that. You'd be like, man, at this rate.
I have no idea why this is not coming up, but this
has
is
to do with your green screen usually.
Mr. Blue Sky. Do I turn it off? It was working fine a few minutes ago. And
yeah, I know. I've had stuff like this with me.
see, this is the deal. It's actually just this super tip. So
it turned yellow for a second.
Yeah, no, that was the other. So I did the one from before with Panhandler, and that comes up fine.
Oh,
I do
it's just this one.
Doing Mr. Blue Sky, and this is what we got.
Is it a green one, like $1 or something?
Yeah, well, I'll fix it for him. It's a $5 super tip, so that's quite good. Yeah. Where is this space going next? It won't die out. Come on, answer me, goddammit. Why are you turning on me, Schmuel? Sorry, I digressed.
You shouldn't be turning on people, man, at this stage.
It's very funny, but I thought that's what it was with Karmic. I just thought it was like, because this is everyone has, or many people do the same process. Joey C tries this, right? Like, I'm gonna shit on people, then they're gonna get mad at me, and then I will, then I'll get attention, and then people will pick my side, and then you'll super chat me. And it hasn't worked. And I guess with some people it does, but
well, I don't think it's that cynical with Karmic. I think he means it. I don't think Karmic sits there and like goes, who am I going to take down, or who am I going to, pick a fight with in order to. I don't think that he does that. I really think that he just he's not just throwing it all against the wall and see what sticks. I think he's very emotional. And I think this all feels very dramatic to him. And if we think about it, going from like hardly interacting at all to being like the center of a lot of attention, and then like when any criticism that comes, he's highly, what do you call it?
Histrionic.
He's affected by the success of it, like when he hits a new level or something, or he has a good show. And he's very susceptible to the feeling when he thinks somebody's being critical. It's just like all the stimulation, it all has an impact.
Yeah, this is what annoys me about you. I call you and I'm like, this guy's a fucking asshole. And you're like, no, he's actually he's entertaining, and he really feels these things. And
he does. He really feels these things. I can't put him in a cynical place of saying like that he's doing this on purpose. You don't think that he really feels this stuff?
No, I think he really does feel it. I think that's what but I think he feels it, but he doesn't know what to do with it. And that's what creates this drama.
Well, that's where the booze comes in.
Right.
When you don't know what to do with your feelings, Crown Royal will tell you.
Right.
Whiskey always tells you exactly what to do with your feelings.
I know. I do have a former 12-stepper of mine who moved to Cape Coral and has been in the bar with one stuttering John. And he tells me the more John drinks, the more philosophical he gets. And his stuff with his kids, like sober, he'll be talking about problems that he has with them and they're not getting along. And then when he's loaded, it's like, it's fantastic relationship and I love them so much. And then he'll start crying.
Wow.
The Taz stuff though. I was it was just crazy to me that he was in love with her one minute, and then the next minute you're a super tip whore. Yeah,
super tip whore, which is another way of just I think. Look, it can't be his fault. It can't be his fault that I read all this into it. Look, I don't get out much. I don't have a lot of interactions with the opposite sex. I got a little bit ahead of myself here, and succumb to this thing that happens sometimes when people communicate online, even in like a mass way. And I got, I got my head turned, and this is the way I was thinking. It can't be any of that. You did this. You fucking made me believe this in order to get money from me. That was your motive. I mean, it's ridiculous, and like it's really unfair to her.
Judging by the way he was talking about your lips the other night, I thought he was heartbroken by you, not by Taz. But
I had not heard this, but
he was.
I don't know that I want to hear it. Talking about my lips.
Yeah, you have perfect lips for wrapping around a male member.
Hey, don't we all?
He seemed to be a little too like a little too thought. He thought a little too much about it.
Weird. I mean, come on, jeez. We all want to have the big dick sucking lips and everything. So I appreciate the compliment, but
I just want to have lips. It's like
never thought of them that way.
You get older and older, and as you age, you start looking in the mirror, and you're like, where did my lips go? did I always look like that?
I'd say the years have not been kind to me per se, but I'm looking to rebound.
Oh man, I'm looking to rebound too, but I do find it funny. There's a bunch of guys now that I know who are in their 60s, and all of a sudden they're like, now they're going to get in shape, now they're going to get healthy, and
well, you didn't have to think about it so much before.
And 3 lost toes later, they're really going to start walking.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that way. I mean, I'm like getting older, but I don't have anything really super wrong with me yet.
Yeah, I had all my really wrong stuff when I was bad stuff when I was younger, and had a heart attack at 39 and wound up going in for emergency surgery and blah blah blah, and I've been good since, except I've picked up this cigar smoking since last year.
You are 6 years later, and you're the picture of health.
I wish. I wish. I took a tumble the other day, cut my head open, but I also whacked my arm, and I took a picture of my elbow to send the missus, and then I see like the skin starting to sag, and I'm like,
maybe not.
No, this is just fucking depressing. I can't.
I fell down the other day too, man, flat on my face. Outside, just lost my balance walking on some of those big round rocks, that they have there. It just fell upward onto the sidewalk, flat on my fucking face, about a month or two ago.
I jumped off the couch and got dizzy, and then instead of standing still, I decided, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep moving forward, and went down.
Shit.
And was worried about my head, so I didn't want my head to hit the floor, but it did hit the table leg, and I'm there. I'm like, I was pissed at myself for falling, and then I see a pool of blood on the floor, and of course, Mrs. Buckman, who wasn't here, I don't know why, because I have a big mouth. I opened my mouth about it. She's like, "You need to go to the emergency room right away."
You didn't go, did you? Did you go?
No, actually, the bleeding wasn't stopping, so I went to urgent care because I thought I needed a stitch, and I got into urgent care, and it was like I walked in. They told me it'd be like an hour to see me, and I was like, "Yeah, it's all right."
I'll live.
And I left. And then I go to this was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. I go to the barber yesterday, and I'm like, I got to get a haircut. And he doesn't speak English, so I translate into Spanish. I have a wound on the side of my head. Could you go easy on it? And he's looking for it, and he's tapping the side of my head.
Stupid ass. No.
To find it, and it was.
Turns out you have a broken jaw.
Head. Not him, but. So that was anyway. That was my deal there. So we're here. We're not talking shit about people. I did get to see your stand up last year. You were up here for the closing of Comedy Cove,
Yeah,
was it?
that's it. The very last weekend of shows. Very
And
last show, I guess, maybe.
yeah, and that's where we had your friend Carl.
Yep. First rate.
That blew me. that kind of that kind of surprised me. I didn't know that there was any kind of animosity between the two of you at all.
I don't know.
And and I
I don't think it
found
has
out.
anything to do with me.
Yeah, I think it might have to do with something else because
Uh,
which I won't bring up because
a lot of people have a problem with me. It has very little to do with me. I mean, like I can say that. It's weird, but man, once it gets started, it gets contagious. I think.
Oh yeah, but that's the one thing I found about this universe is everybody loves to choose up sides,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
ridiculous,
and
and I feel a little responsible for that.
do you?
I think I was the original one who instigated not the choosing of sides, but the thing that people chose sides about.
Oh, and people definitely chose sides about it.
Yeah, and I was not for that. Nobody ever. I didn't encourage anybody ever to take sides in that, but some people did, and there we go. It kind of happened from there. I think anyway, and
Yeah,
then it started happening more. Like Brennan and Shuley.
right. I just didn't. I wasn't happy with it at the time because I just didn't think it was going to work out well for you, which, yeah, but
It's arguable whether or not it did. Probably
I don't
didn't.
think I don't think I, I think rethinking it, you might not have done that. But I don't know.
The biggest mistake was everything that happened afterwards, in my opinion.
Right. But there was a lot of it. You didn't have a choice at how
I
it
should
was
have
gonna
left it
happen.
at enjoy.
Yes. Yeah. But a lot of that you didn't have a choice in what happened after it. Right? It wasn't
I
like
had a
you would
choice.
you would have squashed it if you could, right? You were going to have a meeting, you were going to
Oh no, I didn't have a choice in squashing it. I did not have a choice.
right? Because that's what you wanted to do,
That's what
and
everybody wanted.
everybody wanted it.
Management, me, everybody wanted meeting, squash, and there was just an unwilling party there. It did not wanted to would not sit down.
Yeah, and it came back to haunt them when Gavin McGinnis showed up on the scene. Um,
I don't know anything about that, but I'm still
so
at censored.tv though. Compound censored now, working with Kumia and Gavin on the same network, and I love being over there. It's great. Been doing a stream there at 11 o'clock, sometimes there too, about the network, just different stuff on the network. And if people subscribe over there, they should use the promo code PAT to get a big discount. So I always recommend that. And of course, New York City Crime Report, my show is over there still. It's been over there ever since I left. Ever since I got fired from Compound, it's been over there. It's amazing to me how many people are like, "Hey, where's Crime Report now?" It's like it's on censored.tv, Compound censored, every single week.
and censored is still doing well, right?
Yeah, it's doing great.
Yeah, because it's that model of subscription services like that just hasn't real. A lot of them just have gone by the wayside.
Yeah, and it's a very it's a big tent over there. There's a lot of different stuff, but it's also got a very loyal core of McGinnis fans and Kumia fans, and they're great together. And Kumia is now on the rise. I think that's going to be great for the network, and it's certainly not going to hurt it.
I have a neighbor who's a former GM of WINS and a big radio guy, and we were talking. He was explaining to me about the Kumia thing and coming back to terrestrial radio and that stuff, and he was like, "It never would have happened, 5 years ago, even that Anthony would have been back on the air." But he did say the 150K that Anthony got originally was peanuts compared to what they used to be paying people. And if they and if they'd been paying that in the past for people who deserved, what he said was that kind of money then, they'd still be in business now. But he told me, he said they completely ignored podcasting completely ignored YouTube, completely ignored all these things, and they all thought, oh, they're just fads. They're all just going to go away. And you have to listen to radio, and that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they really you think radio would have learned a lesson by now, from TV.
But
that like a lot of radio can go away, and then but radio has been pretty damn persistent. I mean, it's with TV, it's radio and TV. Radio is still around. TV didn't kill it. It didn't help. And radio had to evolve, and it did. And so I guess now maybe radio is finally starting to evolve a little bit. But I don't know if they thought that shit was fads. Maybe they did. Maybe but the word I would use is they probably just never thought that it would eat up so much market share. They probably did not anticipate that it would become so viable to listen to that stuff in your car.
Right.
And everywhere else that people enjoy radio. People are at home on their laptops or computers or whatever, but when they're in the car or when they're blah blah blah, they have to listen to radio.
And it's amazing. I mean, think about Sirius having put all those satellites up in the sky. Like,
they probably did well for a while though, right? But they were, I'm sure they were thinking long term.
They were thinking long term because it was so expensive to get started. And I think they're still trying to get that money back. And now they're throwing money at other people, which is they throwing money at Call Me Daddy. Sam Bibley, what are you going to do, Pat Dixon, when I have the curvature of Taz's ass sitting here with me while I live stream Karmic X?
I will say congratulations. I'll say good for you. That's what I will do. If that's actually happening right now, that's funny. When I have the curvature of Taz's ass sitting here.
I don't know if you have the time, but I could pull him up. We could take a look if you wanted to. I don't know if you're into that at all.
I mean, I don't care if he's I mean, it's your show, but it's funny if that's what he's saying. I don't, because he was sort of friendly on Twitter, yesterday, and so like I guess that's the whole idea, is to be a little friendly and then go crazy again. You don't expect it to sort of be static.
He's a moody boy, and well, let's just say here.
He's
and BYB more half man fucking point of view.
Huh?
You did it to yourself, BYB. Quad father. You did it to yourself. Maybe karma had something to do with your fucking lifelong injury, quad father.
That's friendly.
He's such a nice guy.
That is so nice. See, now how could anybody be against this guy?
He was on the other night. Quad.
I want to give
Quad
this
and I were trolling him in the chat, and he just didn't have anything against Quad. So we just started with you're a half man, trapped in a wheelchair. You probably can't get it up, on and on. And it was amazing. And I was just like, dude, you need something better than that. NJ Ranger was sending me texts at the time, like, can you believe this? Do a little more Carm impression, please, Pat.
I'm not a jukebox. Okay. Yeah, but I digress. Ridiculous. Wow, man. That is nuts.
We're going to try to ascertain and cajole these fans into doing this. And you people want my star. Yeah, I am amazed at the number of viewers he pulls, but I'm also amazed at how much of his chat is trying to get him to drink more. That it's like they really want him to they want him. I think they're hoping that he offs himself on camera. That's the.
You think so? But then they don't want to. They couldn't say that out loud.
No, I know.
Nor should they.
But like, but they're encouraging it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
mean, wait. I have comments about this topic, but hold on 1 second. I got to go cameraless for 1 second. Okay,
All
be right
right,
back.
no problem. Wow, no Nazi flag. I guess I shouldn't stop talking while the guest is away, but cigar needs to be lit. And let's not forget supertip.gg/Buckman. I'd appreciate that. And those are Melton people and Chad people that encourage streamers to drink from Frank. I don't think it's just them, man. I think it's everybody, right? Like they just love that stuff. And Dr. Chow, Karmic loves that. Dr. Chow, Taz loves this country, the U.S. Taz does love this country. Taz is actually pretty fantastic, and if I had the balls, I would have asked her to come on with us too. But I don't want to embarrass her, and so we'll have Taz come on by herself one night. Taz actually drew the thumbnail that's in the stream for tonight. She's pretty cool. Do you guys have anything in particular that you want me to ask Dixon other than Frank? Frank is the only person that's been asking. And is it possible, by the way, I don't think so, but is it possible that Chad somehow turned off his stuff, like he ended his memberships, temporarily suspended them, and went went from there? Yes, Pat has some interesting threesome stories, and Frank, I will ask that question. Just we'll get there in a minute. And normally, I know you guys like me to go after people. I can't go after Pat. He's just he's my friend. It's possible he could clear it up by showing us the email he received. The chat email is apparently out. He did send it to people, but I don't put anything past Chad, whether he made it. Who had more, you or Pat? Mint Diggity asks. I'm going to say Pat, probably by leaps and bounds. He was a comic, and a very successful one, and headlined in a lot of places, even if he doesn't like to pay for gas. But who knows? Frank, I think someone at YouTube hates Chad and stuck him to doubly by giving Pat his channel back. I thought that was hilarious. And I also thought that my first thought when Chad said somebody came after him, I thought he was going to say Pat, that Pat did this just to stick it to me because he's back on and he wants my audience. So I was just saying that Chad went after all possibilities last night of who attacked him and who created this problem. And I was shocked that you were not the first person on his list because you had announced you'd gotten your channel back. And it was
so obviously I have all kinds of crazy influence at YouTube.
Right? Yeah, but you're just fucking him over to steal his viewers.
I mean, come on. Even Chad wouldn't think that.
You guys did really well on YouTube, you and Doug.
Yeah, we did. We were doing very well over there. Yeah, I mean, like it was good for a minute.
And yeah. your numbers were good. Everything was good. The show was growing. Right, and it just at the worst possible time. You're just on the upswing.
Yeah,
and you were just getting to it. NJ Ranger, it's a sticking it to it based economy.
Sticking it to based, yes.
Oh, I'm supposed to ask you a question. Hold on here, Pat. Let me find it.
Real quick while you were looking, I just want to say, Starry is a girl. It's a woman. Very nice, and has been a big supporter. And, whatever abuse is directed at anybody just for being a supporter of mine, this sucks. I hate to see it. I really do. People should chill, but whatever. I'm reacting to, something that I see going on, and it really sucks. Now, I mean, the thing is, like, coming out and saying something like that is probably not helpful, which is why I have not, I typically think like it's a bad idea, but that's that,
That's the problem is like you'll honestly say, don't go. I'd really rather you guys didn't go after somebody. And then they'll be like, oh, he wants us to go after them.
Right. Well, she supports me and has supported me. I support her. That's all. And that's all I can say,
Yeah. Honestly, though, you're pretty cool. You support most people in most things. You're honest with them. If you think they suck, you will tell them that.
And I'll tell them in a way that does not. It's not cruelty masquerading as honesty or anything like that. Like I'm never trying to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, when I told you that I wasn't going to do this because I was ugly, and that's the way it looked on camera, and you went, "Yeah, well, some people have a cross to bear."
Yeah, I mean, because it's you and me both.
Right.
I don't think that's not an exclusive thing to say. I mean, like, yeah, it's
very funny.
You everybody. I mean, look, tell me who's good looking in this that has a show. Brennan, Mr. Looks.
Brennan's got that same thing going on with his neck that I do, although mine tends to look like a vagina. So Frank is.
Who told you that? Did Karmic tell you that?
No, I saw it.
Did Karmic go on about your neck looking like something he wants to fuck?
No, but he will now. I will now hear it back. I'm sure, but it's
that's what you get for being vulnerable.
It's been getting that way. You and Pat Dixon, you're just ganging up to get me.
Oh yeah, I that was one of the funny ones I heard. Something like it's 3-on-1, Pat and Doug and Tass, 3 against 1. Like, shut up. When he gets ganged up on when he goes on MLC, like way worse. Like personally, right there. Nobody's ganging up on anybody. It's one thing to make fun of somebody, but I mean, like with Brennan, it's like a straight up abuse. And they just take it, and so he wants to take that, but then I'm the devil for making fun of him when he declares love for my mod. I mean, give me a break. It's like, that's the problem with teams, is it's like it just people don't, they abdicate all responsibility to look at it with any rationality or objectivity. That's all it is when people say they're team somebody.
Yeah, I don't have him. I don't have any issue with him declaring love for your mod because that seems nutty to me and appropriate behavior for streaming. But it was the other stuff, right? And it was because he was so his heart was wrenching because Felicia was twisting it one way and Taz was twisting it the other.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. But the thing is, like, don't expect me not to comment on it, I guess. It's more
exactly
my thing. Like, of course I'm going to comment on it. And it doesn't mean anybody fucking turned on you. God, he makes everything so fucking dramatic. We don't have a relation. We don't have that kind of interaction where I could turn on him. You know what I mean? We didn't have that kind of thing, turning on him.
I know. And what could you do? I mean, right?
Exactly.
You're going to stop people from doing. I do see a big time built up. Once you get your stream monetized again, Pat Dixon and Karmic stream together. Yeah. All scores are settled.
Hey, I mean, the thing is if we did stream together, we would just be sitting here talking like you and me. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure of it. I don't think that he could keep a straight face and say all the shit that he says, All
right. Frank is dying for me to ask you who you think is more naturally funny, Stuttering John or Liam?
Damn. I mean, apples and oranges, I would say. It's a tough one. I think Liam can say a funny thing, Liam can say a funny thing sometimes, but it's like on this like he has a really quiet sarcasm and shit. And Stuttering John has like a
but contrary to everybody
he's not so
else,
funny when
you think he's talented. You think Stuttering John is talented.
I think Stuttering John is I think he is. I think he's loaded with talent. I really do. I think Stuttering John is a very talented person. I think he's. There's a lot of shit wrong with Stuttering John, I'm sure, and I'm not advocating for Stuttering John per se, but I mean, how can you say he's not talented? He has a talent for, I've seen him before when he was acting so fucking weird that he was entertaining to actually just watch him. It didn't have to be a clip. Nobody needed to be making fun of it. He's just so fucking bizarre. So, I've seen that. So it's like, you can't say he's untalented, but I do think that he is. I think with him, it's the way he relates to people that is the issue.
The drinking, I think, is probably the thing that hurt him the most, or hurts him the most, because it makes him think he's somebody that he's not, and he could be naturally funny, but then he tries to be funny. And then Jason Bentley tells the story of in Atlantic City where Jason had a conversation with him and told him, "Hey, look, man, if you stop talking about your kids and you stop talking about people attacking them, all these trolls will go away." And Stuttering John's response was, "What? And give up my income?" So, there is a certain amount of that.
Yeah, Stuttering John, you know how and I've said this before about Brennan too, lately. These characters that you see like Michael Scott on The Office. Are you familiar with that show?
Yes.
And he's like an asshole. He's an asshole. He's oblivious, and he's not self-aware, and he has no idea how he's coming off. And when he does come off bad, he doesn't care exactly, and he has this idea of a power dynamic that's there that maybe is not quite what he thinks it is, and he just doesn't know what's happening. But then you'll see him, and like at one point at the end of the show, it'll be like, oh, he's a person. It turns out he's a human. Turns out he's okay, and like people like him for a reason and all that shit. Stuttering John and Brennan are both like Michael Scott. Lately, they don't ever show this human side, hardly, not very much, if at all, and like they go too far. So I think imagine if Stuttering John just like maybe 15% more self-awareness every once in a while, where you'd be like, well, of course, I'm whatever. If he just was a little bit more comfortable in his skin, then I think he'd be kind of unstoppable, and I think he'd be more interesting to people long term. And then you can go ahead and cut loose and be a shithead, but bring it back. You just got to bring it back every once in a while. Have a little humility, and that's poison to them. They don't understand it,
Yeah, I don't know that he's capable of bringing it back. I also think that he likes the money, right? Like the one thing that's a consistent thing through Stuttering John is how much am I getting paid? Like everything is money and money related. When it comes to the stuff, and he's like, and that's what I think. The same thing with Karmic is that they don't mind super chats or super tips shitting on them, like they encourage it, but at the same time, it affects them emotionally, like it gets down deep. But now you're committed, so how do you back off it?
I don't know. I mean, like again, it's. I don't know how that counts into the capability of, being able to sort of dial it back a little bit. Frank says, here's what I'll never understand. Kumia and Artie are going after Stuttering John. Stuttering John responds, okay, Pocky, or go do heroin. And they're like, low blow. No, he's giving it back, and he's kind of funny. I don't think Pocky is all that funny.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But I think, go do heroin is kind of funny. I mean, like, a physical thing like that is, whatever, a behavior. I mean, you can argue about how hilarious either of those statements are, but I don't know about the low blow. I mean, is that like, I mean, like, do they scream low blow? I can't imagine Artie. Oh wait, I do remember one time. Yeah, it was one of the first things that Stutter. I know exactly what he's talking about in this clip. Stuttering John sitting next to Artie. Artie says something to him, and the first thing he says is like, he goes straight for the jugular.
Go and drink bleach or stab yourself.
Yeah, go stab yourself. It was something like that. It's like, okay, yeah, it's unfunny. It's just unfunny.
NJ Ranger, Pocky is funny in my opinion, but not the Artie thing. Ant has never held back on his physical appearance.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. I mean, but I don't think the element of funny is necessarily just whether or not it's deserved, or I just don't think just straight up calling him Pocky over and over again, it's not that funny of a name. I mean, like, go ahead and be critical of his complexion if you want to, know, right? But say it in a funnier way. I mean, like, get a little creative. I feel like that's another thing, is John doesn't really work on that stuff too much.
No, he does. That's one of the things. He doesn't seem to work on anything. Yeah,
but he can throw out some stuff that sticks. Like the dues payer and the shit weigher and whatever. These things stick.
But those weren't his things.
Dues payer?
Dues payer was his. Shit weigher wasn't. I know that shit weigher wasn't. I don't
when
even
he came out and started calling him dues payer. I mean, that really was striking.
Right.
That one time,
I feel like somebody gave him that in the chat, though. Go ahead.
When it was just fucking crazy. When he came back and he had that weird haircut, he reminded me of this guy that used to come on Letterman in the 80s, Brother Theodore, who was just this cantankerous philosopher type. And he was great. He was like a performance artist, and he was funny. And that's what John reminded me of just for that one appearance, because he was so dialed in and so intense. And it was like, we can debate on whether or not what he was doing was smart or whatever. But it was definitely eye-catching. Yeah, the Dutch boy thing. He came back and he was speaking weird languages and shit, like speaking Jew talk, and also like Spanish, and what's the word I'm looking for? Not Yiddish, but Hebrew. He was throwing in Hebrew terms and stuff. It was, and calling him dues payer, and it was like the second coming. I mean, it was nuts. He was really dialed in, and like, I think if John, he could also go full blown performance artist like that, and that would be interesting. Or he could humanize. He could maybe do a little of both. I don't know.
Could he? Yeah, is he? But is he like the comics though, that they get one thing and then that's the thing they stick with? I mean, isn't Bob Nelson still doing Epi Epperman?
Probably. Oh, I don't mean Bob Nelson. My God, yeah, he's probably doing the lineup for the All-Star game and all that shit.
I see him at I haven't seen him, but he's at Uncle Vinny's all the time.
Clean Comics can write their ticket for a long, long time. He's got a following still. He used to be on the Bob Hope specials.
Yeah, but he got really religious, and he was doing like Christian conventions and stuff. Like, he was their comedian.
Big money there too, I'm sure. Neanderthal John was a great character that was, I didn't invent it. It was but we did it over on the stream. Caveman John, yeah, he would say everything he said is in these like caveman talk. Like you like beast, me kill beast.
Yeah,
me like shiny thing. That was pumpkin spice heroin came up with that.
The thing with John, he's never like the good-natured ribbing that guys do, and the busting balls. He was never able to do that. I mean, no. he's been going back. Like, you would make a joke about John. You'd watch it on Stern. Somebody would make a joke about John being cheap, and John would come back like, well, you fucked your sister.
Yeah, right. Like, I fucked your wife.
And it would just be like, what the fuck, John?
Yeah, he comes back with a sledgehammer. There's a sequence. It's like in a cartoon. Somebody starts off with a knife, and then there's a gun, and then there's a cannon, and then there's a nuke, or whatever. It's like you go back and forth, and like he just goes straight to nuke.
Yeah, he would be best with a moderator or a co-host. Somebody who could kind of guide him along a little bit.
Oh, really? Like Adam?
Like
he needs an Adam.
He needs an Adam, but he can't, like, it's that thing of he's too cheap to spend the money on that, but he doesn't realize that spending the money on that would make him more money.
Even if he just had them on I don't know, I don't want to say consignment, but on if I make this, you make that. There's just ways to work that out.
Right. Probably,
I mean, cut somebody in, but he doesn't think he needs that. He doesn't, all this advice that we're saying, he'd be like, oh, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because, okay, when you've been on the biggest radio show of all time, then we can talk.
Well, that's part of it too, right? If the guy is talking, if his entire conversation is about what he did 30 years ago, it's tough, it's tough. But that's why he was so great for Schmuel and for Carl, because having him filtered was so much better than just watching him by himself and go at it.
How much better would it be if he would come on every once in a while with them, and like have it out in person?
Right. Which was tried, and he couldn't do it.
And it was a big success.
Right, but it didn't it went one time.
That's what I'm saying. He did. It's proven. It's a proven thing. It works.
Because
and give Brandon credit, for doing that. I mean, he overspent, but like at the same time, it was an event.
Yeah, and he didn't overspend because it wasn't his money, and it wasn't like they were going to give him the.
Well, everybody overspends when it's not their mony.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Borgo wasn't going to give him $3,000, right? Like, just for the hell of it. So, he got to spend somebody else's money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, whatever. I mean, I'm just saying that like it did work.
Yeah, and it got the Dabbleverse erupting, right? That's where the famous Carl interfering with somebody's money is violence line comes from. Yeah, it's great. It's okay, Frank. SJ is an asshole. You can still like him. You're allowed. Only SJ isn't good-natured. Melton going after Kate Meaning was good-natured. That's actually very funny, Frank.
Well, wait, what did it say?
It's
only Stuttering John is a good-natured. Melton going after Kate Meaning was well. I mean, she did like try to get his channel taken down a lot and stuff.
Yeah, but he went hard, But that's what Melton does. But I was like, I sit there and I listen to it. And I'm like, oh, I'm cringing at it. Now looking back at it a year and a half later, I'm thinking, oh, it's pretty funny. But I thought it was cringy. He was going after April for looking like a crackhead. And, well, guess what? It came out. So, Pat, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate the time. You're welcome to stay, but I know you've got another show to do. And
well, see, now I'm in a bit of a quandary because, like, you want me to stay or you want me to go?
Oh, I want you to stay, of course.
Okay.
But I don't want you to overstay your welcome.
I'm never gonna. No, I don't.
Whatever.
Yeah. You don't want me to mess up my own life here in favor of. No, I got nowhere to go. I'm fine for now.
All right, I didn't. Yeah, because I don't know whether you're having fun or not. Because
I know, I am. I'm trying to contain it. I'm trying to be a little more Schmuel like. Let's keep talking Schmuel.
I brought you on so you wouldn't be Schmuel like. That's what I wanted. I wanted the Schmuel with the shocked look that Doug Nelson drew so appropriately.
I told you look like W.C. Fields. That's what the first thing I told you. You're a dead ringer.
I tried to do a Bank Dick thumbnail for tonight's show, and
oh wow,
I couldn't get it to work, and I was running. I was so busy today. I was like, I couldn't do it, and but the biggest problem is that for the YouTube thumbnail, it's essentially landscape, right? Not portrait. And I could not get the Bank Dick poster to rotate. I couldn't rotate anything in it. The whole poster would rotate, so the thumbnail would be the Bank Dick on its side, Or if we put it up top, you wouldn't be able to, see W.C. Fields' middle.
Yeah, it's white people problems, I guess, but you do bear a more than a passing resemblance to the great. I mean, really, he is the greatest. W.C. Fields is the greatest of the old comics. I mean, the old those old funny. I mean, he just is. It's a great character, timeless character. Just funny.
My motherhood didn't really get along with. The one thing I remember her laughing at was W.C. Fields, and she really liked W.C. Fields.
That's great.
And I was tiny when they were watching them, so I was like, I kind of remember them. And then I watched The Bank Dick after talking to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And because you had given me all of like the little things that WC did and the handshake and
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's what he was talking about. That's what he was talking about. So
the hearty hand clasp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a funny fucking cut in, and the little stuff like that. The whole thing is very anti-bank. It's like he's just anti-bank and anti-women. Because his whole life is he's just surrounded in that house by fucking women. He's got 2 daughters, his wife, his mother-in-law. They all hate his guts, and they all express it all the time.
And he takes it.
He just goes, oh, okay.
Whatever.
He foils a bank robbery, brings home the newspaper article about it. He's like, look at this write-up I got for foiling a bank robbery. And without even looking, his mother-in-law grabs it out of his hand, throws it into the fire. Says, can't you see we're playing an interesting game?
Don't be bothering me with your heroism.
Oh, God, they hate his guts. It's so great.
It's so funny. Those old mother-in-law hating the steps. What the hell is the word that I'm looking for? The wife's husband.
Son-in-law.
Son-in-law. Thank you. They're just hating the son-in-law. We don't have enough of that these days. That was a staple for years.
And it probably had a lot more reality to it at one time. But I guess you're not supposed to hate any women now. They're all above hating. You're not allowed to hate them.
All right,
I say some of them you can fucking hate.
Yeah. So, the Mr. Blue Sky, the hating in-laws trope. Mm-hmm. Sometimes tropes are funny, right? Like if done well, you don't want to see somebody just hating the mother-in-law.
And but the wife was in league with the mother-in-law all the time. It's like don't let him smoke up in his room. Don't you smoke up in your room. And the daughter who can't say, she's always fighting tears and being overly dramatic. And then there's the little daughter who's just a little shit, throws a bottle of ketchup and hits him in the head and stuff like that. And they all gang up in this. It's just brilliant to see.
Oh, it's his fault for his head being there.
Right.
So, Frank, Pat, before you go, can you condemn Liam for threatening my life?
I condemn all threatening of lives. Frank lives matter.
Frank lives matter. Frank lives
Chat lives matter. Yes.
So
and yes, everybody. Nobody threatened anybody's life. Did he really threaten your life?
He told him he better look over his shoulder. Apparently, in real life.
Does he know who Frank is?
No, of course not. Frank, does he know who you are?
I mean, wouldn't it be weird if people in the chat started like you see him around and it's just like their avatar walking around or whatever? That big F.
I know. It would be
like, motherfucker, you're always on my ass.
All right. NJ Ranger, who we believe. NJ Ranger 201, he did Pat. I watched it live.
I believe you. If you say that, well, then I condemn that. There's a lot of reasons to condemn it. I mean, he intimated that he knew where Frank lived. No shit. No way. Is that serious? That can't be real. Yeah, no, you can't do that. You can't. People got to stop with the violence. I've never done anything violent.
Never.
He literally said, I'm going to be dead. Damn.
NJ Ranger, I shit you not. But how do you go on the show with Liam? I mean, in Clown Town, and you're like, get along. There were no fireworks. There were no.
Look, I mean, I was definitely there for it. If something was going to happen, if he was going to say anything, but like he seemed to be fine with being on the same podcast as me. I was there and he showed up. So if he doesn't feel like he's going to have to explain this in 10 years to his woke betters, then like it's fine with me.
Well, part of it is I know that even though I get very few viewers, he tends to be one of them. And I have been shitting on him since that Clowntown appearance that you were on, that he got off when you came on.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Because he had to go somewhere. And then immediately after you got off, he miraculously came back from where he was.
He didn't want to have to explain this shit in 10 years, man.
And started shitting on Ray. And the thing is, he wants KB to like him. So he does a lot of he'll do a lot of the KB trolling or trolling for KB. But you can see he doesn't have his heart in it. And the thing with Schmuel the other night with the donations and stuff, the secret that I'm going to disclose is I in my mind, and having talked to Schmuel, I think Schmuel was all fucked up by what happened with ESO. Like, he really had no idea, and it fucked him up in the head. And he, so all these questions that people are coming after him with are things that he's thought of himself. And so Justice, like, that's the stream that he did was awful. I think everybody kind of knows that, but he didn't know what he was doing. He just found out about it. I liken it to like being videotaped at your father's funeral. You're not on your best behavior, but they did try to do something nice with Take Back the Night. And Liam is making fun of him because it's an anti-rape group, not an anti-pedophilia group. So I guess Liam likes rape, but not pedophilia. I couldn't quite figure out the point he was trying to get across.
It seems like it does seem like splitting hairs to have a problem with that, but you see people in chat saying weird stuff, and whenever I see somebody in a chat, if I don't know who they are and they're splitting hairs like really hardcore on me, then I figure, well, that's somebody who really does have an axe to grind of some sort with me. And so I think that Liam, going after Schmuel that way, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, like, he's more interested in look, there's one guy who has him on consistently, pays him whatever the fuck, I mean, like, he's an MLC guy,
right?
So so you kind of like that's the way those guys are. I mean, like, look, Kevin would have half a chance of sort of, I don't know, being a little better adjusted, but he's got people who dig up everything that they can find on him that were on other people saying stuff about him, and coming back with bullet points and coming back and letting them know, like, so-and-so said so-and-so, and this is somebody in the chat. I mean, screen grabbing chats and shit like that. Look what this chatter said about you, and keeping him, like, kind of keeping a keen edge on that hatefulness. And whoever that is, that's doing that, whoever that note taker is, whoever it is that's out retrieving all this bad intel, I'm sure because Kevin doesn't have the time to, and he doesn't even care enough to watch all this shit. But if you bring it to him and lay it on his lap, then he's going to look at it.
And he'll get to it. If he didn't see it himself and he hears it from you, he gets to interpret it the way that he wanted it.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. Yeah, and through the eyes of the note taker,
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously going to be very uncharitable and very, twisted.
Yeah, and but could you imagine, like, you were a successful comedian, right? You've done all.
Can't imagine that.
And now, and I wasn't and now everybody hates you. Like, the one thing about you is the comedians that I know all like you, whether they come out and support you or whatever. But if I say your name, they'll say, that's a funny motherfucker, right? Mm. If you mention Kevin, they're like, yeah, man, I don't know what happened to him.
Well, I mean, he's also really successful too financially. He's like doing really well. I guess he's number 4, So I mean, there's no arguing with that, and he's always reminding everybody too, about these things. Well, it's very important.
in his universe, he's number 4. So Sarah and I like the numbers. I like to see what people are making, like different shows and how they're doing, not just in the Dabbleverse, but generally. And Sarah has a top 10 list of the shows and where they're placing at each moment. So I bought myself, God knows why, a Playboard subscription. So now I can get you get into the numbers, and I laugh because it's like, yeah, you're number 4, but in this very, very small category, and it's peanuts compared to what other people are making.
What, comedy?
Like, he's in a comedy category, but what happens is there are, like, when you get to the top, because a lot of these guys, he's in the comedy category, but the better category is entertainment altogether. And it really seems like, I don't know if it's how you describe it or how YouTube views it, but different people get put into different categories. And so, but like with Kevin, when you're looking at it, he's really at the bottom of YouTube lists as far as super chats go. So, but he's number 4 in a very particular category. Somebody put up his Playboard thing with number 4 about a week ago, and there were 3 Japanese anime shows in the same category that's what he was number 4 in. So I don't know if they were saying he was number 4 in anime.
Yeah, weird. That is odd. I was like, what are these other shows? I mean, like, I guess Joe Rogan, that's not a comedy show. And it's not in that category or whatever. I mean, I'm sure that Joe Rogan's show makes it. Is it monetized on YouTube? I mean, like, I don't know. Is he has some kind of a YouTube presence, I know.
I'm sure he has AdSense. And that's where the real money is for bigger guys. Like smaller guys, it's the super chats, right? And memberships. But for the bigger outfits, it's the ads.
But I don't think that if I'm not mistaken, the list that you're talking about doesn't include gifted memberships. I think it's just super chats.
Right.
So they can make a big difference, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, you look at like a guy like Melton, and I'll see him, and on average, this guy's getting 50 memberships, 100 memberships.
It's incredible. He gets a lot of money through that, but he gets a lot of super chats too. Right. So I don't get, like, it seems like he would be comparable at least, to
NJ Ranger, number 4 in the comedy category. Rogan is more comedy theory because they're never funny.
Yeah. Well, he's also not really at this point, having that many comedians on, is he? I mean, he does, but it's something completely separate, I guess.
After listening to Rogan on Opie and Anthony on quite a number of occasions, I never really enjoyed his podcast because it's like he always takes it's like another friend of ours with Fauci and COVID. They get a little bit of information, and then that becomes overblown. And I listen to the history of peyote from one of these guys, and you're like, well, that's not right. But boy, they're committed to it, and that's what becomes accepted common knowledge.
You're talking about misinformation.
It's not misinformation, but I'm not going to say. I wouldn't want to listen to Joe's show and then go out to a party and act like I'm smart and say, oh yeah, this is where that came from.
Yeah, I don't know how authoritative a lot of the stuff that you might hear on that show is, but then again, I don't know how authoritative a lot of stuff you hear on MLC is. No, pretty not authoritative, I would say.
Right, but you're not expecting MLC to be authoritative, right?
I'm not expecting anything to be authoritative, but least of all, maybe MLC.
Yeah,
I mean, like, there's a lot of loose talk that is really destructive or not nice or whatever. I mean, like, I don't want to say not nice because that becomes a funny thing to mock. Like, oh, not nice, whatever. And like, I'm sure I'm not nice sometimes, but people don't have any boundaries on what they say, you know.
No, that's
for whatever reason.
It's funny because that's what I'm finding in myself, right? I have a lot of boundaries about what I say about people, and I had Stealth Chaos on here the other night. And he's like, "You can't be nice. Nice doesn't sell," you know. And I was talking about Karmic, and I was going back and forth, and I'm like, "Well, I don't have enough information to know this, and I'm just not going to come out and say, you know, Pat Dixon goes to the massage parlor 4 times a day. You know, we see him walking there."
Yeah, I mean, you can be not nice and also honest and say facts. I mean, there's plenty of not nice facts to say. You know, why you don't have to make shit up.
Right.
But then I guess Stealth Chaos, to his point, would be like, it doesn't matter if it's true. Truth of something doesn't matter, but it always, you know, I guess you and me are kind of caught up in this old world where, like, yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah, I like I like the truth. Yeah.
To me, it's the thing that levels everything. It's like that's why the word literally used to be so great, and why it's not shit now.
Yeah, right.
Because you could say like literally, and people would have to go, no, not literally, but
yeah. Now the
people now they're like, I've got receipts. Where? I've got them. Just you know, and then it gets spread. Oh, he's got receipts.
He was literally a ghost.
Yes. His head literally burst into flames.
Yeah, certain words have really gotten to me over the last couple of years. Having receipts is one of them.
Yeah.
Because every fucking time one of these guys has receipts, they don't have receipts.
Right. Yeah. It seems to be that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can make look, if I viewed the receipt in a certain way, it's possible that we could get to your conclusion. But the receipt on its face is supposed to be fact. And it's not. And one of your friends from Compound does that all the time with like the receipts, and then when you see the receipts, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. They have some unconvincing non-receipt receipts. You know, just something that doesn't mean anything. And then after that, they can go, I don't know what else to do. I showed the receipts. I proved it. You know, it's being able to say that is like, I guess, the goal.
Right. And you'll get. But what I like about receipts is one of the words I like is attribution. So when these guys make comments, I'll just ask attribution, you know?
Yeah.
And every now and then you'll get attribution, which will be a post from Bill and Ted's Excellent Medical Journal.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you.
And you're just like, the fuck?
Well, you know, somebody asked me privately, you know, something that they had said that they would have liked to have asked me publicly, but they missed the chance. And it was like, why do you have this reputation? Why do you have this reputation with women? Why do you have these, you know, what is that? What's it about? And I would say, I guess to answer that, like, what are you talking about? You know, I mean, it's one thing to say there's a rumor, there's a reputation, but like what specifically? I mean, search for something specific and tell me what it is, and then evaluate the truth. Or, you know, I'll definitely answer any direct sort of claim, and I can debunk anything that anybody brings up. It's not hard, you know. It's just not that hard, because look at how you know, you can look. You have to contextualize stuff and go, okay, why would somebody say this, and who said what and when. You know, and you can see where all this shit came from. So, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know that I really have earned that reputation. I do know that, like, I've always been really irreverent about shit like that, so it makes me kind of an easy target for shit like that. You know, when you make jokes about, you know, women and stuff, and you don't seem to be particularly nice, you know, especially these days, you know, people like to run with stuff like that. They also like to take you seriously when you're joking, but then whenever anybody else says anything about you, it's like they may be just joking. You know, don't you understand? It's a character he's doing. You know, it's a character.
It's a character. It's a character. He doesn't really feel that way.
No, stupid. Don't, you know? That's but everything you say is literal. You know,
I love your the ex-wife, was it, or girlfriend that tried to shoot you?
True story.
Was that at IHOP?
At an IHOP.
At IHOP. I remember that part.
outside of an IHOP.
I usually don't. And it's like, it's a hilarious story. And most guys should understand there are some crazy fucking women out there. And then it gets turned around. It's the greatest story in the world. Then it gets turned around like, well, what did Pat do?
You know when that started, Schmuel? It started the night that she tried to shoot me. A cop came over. I was filling out a police report by myself, leaning against a wall outdoors, while they take her and put her in a fucking squad car. He's like, "Are you the one that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "What did you do to her?" Like, what do you do to somebody to make it like understandable that they tried to shoot you?
Right.
I don't know what that is. When does that become okay? It's never okay to hit anybody, right? Of course. But it's okay if somebody tries to shoot you because they don't have a dick.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's just it's imagine being a cop and walking up to a woman with a black eye, going, "What'd you do to him?" As they put him in the squad car.
Yeah, it's when you see those. You ever see like some of the videos where, they arrested the guy. The guy's arrested for domestic violence because she's got a black eye, and then you get to see the people have cameras in their homes for some stupid reason, and every time this guy sits down on the couch, she walks by, smacks him in the head with a pot.
Like some shit like that could occur.
Yeah, like it's possible that she did something. I dated a really crazy woman once, and wound up with like she went to the hospital and said that I had grabbed her and thrown her across a room, and she had black and blue marks to prove it. And I was like, I never hit anyone in my like. I'm just not that kind of guy, like women or men, And
you got to one up me.
And then I find out that this is something that she's done to every boyfriend that she's had in the past.
Yeah, just her bad luck, man.
The cops didn't take her seriously, and then she was complaining that I wouldn't leave her alone. I wouldn't leave her alone, and I totally ignored her. So she went and tried to kill herself by breaking into a house where she got arrested, and she had her one phone call. And who did she call? Me.
Jesus.
And you're like, oh my God. And I was in college, and then years later, I'm reading a story about some woman who, at a military base in Georgia, has this lawsuit for sexual harassment, and the guy did all these things to her and whatnot. And I read the name, and I'm like, it can't be the same person. It was the same person. And the thing that this chick had a real rep for was trying to fuck other men. So she'd be like your girlfriend. But if she saw like Pat was with another girl that she didn't like or was jealous of, she'd be flirting with you and trying to get your. And it was just like, she's crazy. And at some point, you just feel like saying, like, this person should walk around. They should have a tag on them. It just says, stay away. I'm smoking hot, but stay away.
Yeah, and nobody would stay away based on a tag. Believe me, there's red flags on these women that I've met, and like nobody could have pulled me away. Nobody. It's just that intriguing. They have something. Now at this point, yeah, I would definitely. I don't need the tag, but. And for a while, after the chick tried to shoot me, I didn't need the tag. I could sort of, I'm not going to be, but eventually you forget, and that's what happened to me. I mean, like I was physically attacked in my last relationship. Jumped, wrapped her hands around my throat, and what did I do? Oh well, she's feisty, But you leave somebody alone, and like there's no amount of leaving. Leaving them alone is like the worst thing you can do because they hate to be ignored.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's like you've been ignoring me, so I'm gonna fuck up your world. You'll be ruined for trying to ignore me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a bad mix. It's a bad mix. There's dangerous people in the world, you know, and a lot of them are female, and they really fun, personable. The chick who tried to murder me, man, she was so fucking funny and cool. Like, we had a blast together. I mean, she was great until she wasn't. You know? It's a gradual thing, and it's like we've talked about before, and I'm sure that you've talked about this with other groups of people. That if you meet somebody who it seems like, man, this person completes me in some way, you know, I've never been happier. This since I've been with her, all my problems are solved, you know, or whatever. You should run as fast as you can in the other direction, you know, because that's not the way it's supposed to go.
It's funny, you know, like with my past relationships and past marriage, it was like I was instantly attracted, you know, and wanted to jump right on it. And with Mrs. B, it's been a learning experience. And you know, now I feel many of the ways you just described towards her, but it took years to get there.
Right. That's natural. Yeah, that's good.
You know, and I'm like, oh, this is good. And I just remember one day sitting there going like, we'd bought a house and I had my feet up on the couch or something. And I'm like, I had just fixed the dishwasher and she baked me like brownies or something because I'd fixed the dishwasher. And I'm like, oh, this is what a relationship is supposed to be like. You know?
And you earned it, you know, it took your time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she earned it as well.
So, you know, speaking of love, the Mrs.
I love all of you watching, by the way.
Mrs. B often, are we ignoring them? Mrs. B will say to me like, "Do you remember the first time you told me you loved me?" And the answer is no, and it's because I tell people I love them all the time. And then she told me the story of the first time, and she was we'd been dating a few months. She was in Australia on vacation, and she'd called me on the phone, and we were talking. And before I hung up, I said, "Love you." And that was the first time. And she remembers that. And all I remember is I wanted to go to bed. And that's the way I was ending the conversation. Love you.
Nice. You used it to just bridge that gap, you know, get out of the phone call. It makes sense.
And I've learned it's dangerous. I had another girlfriend that was in Myrtle Beach on vacation and invited me down. And I went down and she drove me back to the airport. And I gave her a hug before I got on the plane and said, you know, love you. And when I broke up with her a few weeks later, it was like, but you said you loved me.
What's that supposed to mean? I will put up with your shit forever, no matter what.
Well, it's that dangerous word. We see how it can affect men and women.
And women, yeah. Mostly women. I've never seen it like... I've never seen a man complain about that before, but I guess there's a first time for everything.
Yeah. Oh,
but I have had women tell me that, you know.
I think somebody wants the answer to this question is supposed to be Nodak. Question for Pat: which chatter do you love most?
You, Nodak.
Of course, Nodak.
It's obviously you.
It's the obvious. That's the obvious answer.
I love Starry quite a bit too. I will say that.
Cigarette Jones is giving us an update that Karmic is still talking about Taz's butt.
No way.
Yeah, she does have a fantastic bottom, but I can't say that because I'm old and married. But no, I remember.
When is Karmic seen her butt?
You put out a picture of of Taz dancing in short shorts.
I did?
Well, he said it was Taz. I don't know that it was.
Dancing.
Taz, were you dancing in Taz, the resident artist? Thank you. Ha ha ha. Taz, were you dancing around in short shorts? And did Pat post this video?
Maybe there was a little thing we used to drop sometimes where she would where there was a woman jumping on a trampoline.
He said something about all last spring.
Oh my God! Oh, thank God we tricked him out of his money.
Oh, hey, and they were boxers. Nothing sexier. Nothing sexier. Possibly, what do they call those? Boy shorts. But yeah.
I don't know.
But I remember meeting Taz for the first time, and I was like, because in the pictures, she looks so skinny, right? So rail thin, and
Total fat ass.
You meet her in person, and you're like, she's thin, but womanly, very like.
No, she's got a woman's body.
Got the woman's body and the woman's figure, and you're like, you fucking assholes are missing something.
Well, you know, they like to say like he's talking about, I guess, how sexy she is, but also, you know, when they get over on MLC, it's like she's a boy. She looks like a dude. She's female to male. All that shit. It's like, woof. You guys need to get your fucking insults straight. Is she a whore for super tips or a tranny?
Taz, the resident artist, I do. You do have a woman's body, Taz. But yeah, I had wanted to say that, like, when Karmic is talking about her, or when these guys are talking about her, I always want to go, I've met her, and she's a woman. But you can't. But I can't, right? Because it's
right. There's no. Yeah, it sounds weird. I understand. Yeah.
It does sound weird, and it's not going to be. It'll get turned around.
It's not going to be decisive or anything like that. No, nothing helps. Nothing helps.
I can take it. When these people don't like somebody, they just don't like them, which is hilarious to me, because somebody said to Mel, was it? I believe it was it Stevie Lou that said you should bring back the men's show, or Men Are Talking, and I thought, and I responded, I thought that was you, Keanu, and Kevin, because talking about looking like a little boy, Keanu, I've very pretty on camera, but in person, I was like, oh, you look like a teenage boy. So
you could say that.
I don't know.
I mean, but like, you know, I personally think Stevie Lou, when he says shit like that, he sounds very catty, very female, you know, like like that's the thing to shit on some girl's appearance or whatever, when, you know, and for what? Like, what stake does he have in it other than licking Brennan's ass?
Well,
it's like he has no stake in it other than licking ass. It's like, just, I could get along with Stevie, no problem. Like, there's been times when I found him to be completely rational, but he can't help himself. He has to turn.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way. I thought he was shitting on you because Men Are Talking show did not. I don't know whether it didn't do well, or you guys had a fight and broke up, or but the show wasn't around for very long. So I thought it was like a dig
about with the show.
Yeah, like
it wasn't that he was trying to say that Tass was a man.
No, he was trying to say that Men Are Talking was a shitty show that you did. And
okay,
that's why you should bring it. He was
definitely a reason.
Taz.
Definitely a good reason to bring up a show from 2 years ago that did, you know, marginally less good than it could have. You know, and it was all right. It was fine. It wasn't. It didn't set anything on. It did a hell of a lot better than his fucking streams ever did. I mean, a lot better.
I can't remember where it was, but I saw you perform once, and Zen was your opener. You were doing a show together, is all I know. Both of you were on the bill.
Probably in Jersey.
And I said, when I was at DabbleCon, and I said to Zen, I'd seen you and Pat do a show together. You know, it was hilarious. And somebody pulled me to the side and was like, yeah, don't mention Pat's name to Zenhauser. And It's like, what?
Sennhauser doesn't have any hard feelings for me.
No, I know, but it's everything in this universe needs to be. Oh, these two guys aren't talking about each other and sucking each other's dicks on air all the time. They must not like each other.
I went over to MLC when I had been over on Schmuel, and I don't even have anything against Schmuel. Schmuel just snapped too really quick. He thought I was bad mouthing him or something because a chatter said it. Something about me bad mouthing him, and I didn't bad mouth Schmuel at all.
Right.
All I did was quote him. I didn't say anything bad about Schmuel ever. I was on that show with Kevin when he was at some of his most anti-Schmuel shit, and I sat there. Now, I didn't say anything to contradict it. It's just like with Carl. He ran his mouth about Carl all that time. Ran his mouth about fucking about Melton. And I didn't contradict it, but I didn't co-sign it either. We just sit there. And so I guess that's why I was kind of useless for Kevin after a while, because I wasn't going to jump on and start hating on Carl and hating on Schmuel and hating on Melton when I didn't have anything against all those guys. And I thought a lot of what Kevin was saying about him was just fucking stupid and repetitive.
Yeah, very repetitive. You guys were good. You guys were actually good. I mean, I don't follow these things as closely as I should, but you got bumped, you got booted when you got your YouTube channel tossed. Is that when you stopped doing MLC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and it was and also the Hackamania stuff was like a sort of a backup reason, but then he was saying like, he's finished, he's off YouTube.
Right, but it was Hackamania because that's the thing I thought, and I've told Ray this. It's like even if the guy pays you, right? He doesn't own you, and who is going to stop you from? Is there any comedy people like who's going to stop you from doing a show?
Nobody. Only Kevin Brennan. Kevin Brennan's the only dude who that would be a problem for. I don't care what anybody says. Well, Melton was talking shit about his wife and all this. It's like, no, nobody does it that way. Nobody.
Right.
You shouldn't even have to say it. No, nobody owns anybody. Nobody owns what they do, how they spend their time. He wasn't paying my whole fucking living, not by a long. Now, if he was paying my whole fucking living, that'd be different. If he was paying me for 4 days a week, 5 days a week to go in there and be on the show, I'd be like, yeah, I got to be loyal here, because obviously this is a full-time job, but something like maybe you get to go up on the show once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes. And then based on that, you're supposed to just like snap to and do whatever somebody says. That's fucking weak.
Yeah. Very, very, very weak. And
the moment that he said, anybody does Hackamania can't do my show. I was like, oh, fucking well, I guess too bad for me. That sucks, but like it's not changing my course.
He did. I think he did expect you to crumble, but he's dealing with the wrong person.
We see, like comedians don't crumble like that. Comedians are used to being like kind of independent.
AP says, Pat, you should have stayed home and watched paint dry. I think they're talking about me. I
am at home.
And he is watching paint dry.
Yeah. What's the big deal?
the old man. He's watching.
I think I'm going to rename my YouTube show when I start it back to Watching Paint Dry. Let's just avoid any expectations here. I don't claim that it's anything other than that.
OG Mumbly Nick, Schmuel is interviewing Karmic's crush.
Woo! And if Felicia and Karmic start that show together, that's going to be great. The two, like, they both like are spurned lovers apparently of me and Tass.
Yeah,
crazy.
He did not seem into it though. I mean, they went on for hours, but he just didn't seem into it.
He didn't have enough to drink, I guess.
And I was laughing because she's basically throwing herself at him.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I thought you were talking about on MLC. Oh, okay. No, I didn't watch
on
that.
Their show.
She was throwing herself at him?
I think so. She was trying to be like very cutesy, and she came on. She was wearing sunglasses. hair in a ponytail, smoking a cigar, like, trying to be like very cool and whatever. And so either this guy is totally oblivious to cues, or he just wasn't interested.
Well, they can both be true too.
Right. I mean, well, she could be throwing herself at him and he's not interested, or
he didn't notice.
Or he didn't notice. I just feel like he didn't. Yeah. No, because I think aren't they mutually exclusive, right? He either didn't notice, or he doesn't care. It's one or the other. It'd be pretty
Well,
hard.
maybe he didn't notice because he doesn't care.
Right.
Yeah, like it's so far off his radar to even think about hooking up with Felicia. But like, I guess maybe she just should have danced in her boxers and said she loved him or something. You got to really whore it up.
One of my girlfriends at one time had huge tits, and actress, and of course, gay friend, right? And I just remember the gay friend one day going up and touching her tit and goes, "Ooh, those are just disgusting," and I was like, when I'm watching Felicia and Karmic the other night, I was just thinking, I kept rethinking that, going like, "Ooh, I don't like those. Those are breasts."
Yeah.
So
hey, I don't know. I mean, I don't look. The thing is, I don't pretend to know anything about Karmic. We're not friends. We've never known each other hardly at all. I mean, to whatever extent, you can be good buddies with somebody when they just watch your stream and super tip and like whatever. I thanked him for every super tip, meant it and all that shit, but I don't know this guy at all. So I mean, like I maintain it's impossible to turn on somebody when you've got no actual relationship. I mean, there's no turning.
Yeah, but there is a lot of the parasocial relationships that go on in this, in these streams, right? People that have never met, they're like, "Oh, my really good friend, my good friend Pat Dixon." Yeah.
Well, if he was such a good friend, he would have written me and said, "Hey, man, it hurts my feelings when you make fun of me for doing these crazy things. Right. I wish you wouldn't have made fun of me." That's what. If we were good enough friends for him to be that hurt by it, then we would have been good enough friends for him to write me privately and say, "Hey, this is how I feel about it." Just like if there would have been anything existent between him and Tass, he would have written her privately and said, "Hey, I want you to know my feelings." Yeah. I mean, like it's to go about it the public way and stuff. It's almost like, well, what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to? What kind of situation are you trying to set up? Why are you trying to make this a controversy? Why would you intentionally make yourself look so weird? Why not just express it,
My
one-on-one?
Read Shoresy's chat here. Saturday, when Pat was on Clown Town, Karmic X just begged for super tips and was trying to start a fight with MKE. They're too fun. They're too fun guys.
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk about Ashley Cummings yet.
Speaking of super tips, supertip.gg/Buckman would be great. If you could throw a few bucks my way, I'd appreciate it.
A few bucks for the Buckman. And I'm going to go ahead and I will sign off and start my stream in just a few minutes. So
okay, cool.
Because it looks like it's 11 o'clock and it's time for me to do that.
Wow, it is late. Hopefully you will talk about Ashley Cummings.
If you'll come on.
Yeah, I'll come on.
All right. Done deal. I'll see you in a few minutes over online.
All right. You'll send me a link. I'm going to stay here and say goodnight to the folks.
Toodaloo.
All right, bud. Guys, thank you so much. It probably wasn't what you wanted, but Dixon is Dixon, and I just like to hear him talk. And he's very funny, and he's a good egg. And I think what's his name? Kumia, in Kumia's pamphlet that I spent $37 for. The only time in the Dabbleverse that I bought anything and felt ripped off was Kumia's most recent book, The Permanently Suspended, I think. What a piece of garbage it was. He described Pat, I think, as a very eclectic person, and that is Pat. and he's never going to be what you want him to be. He's going to be what he is. No, it's not a blunt, Frank. It's an actual Cuban, whatever they're called. I'm not really a cigar aficionado, but a friend of mine brought them back. Got them at duty free. Pat is back on YouTube, but he is not streaming yet on YouTube. He's going to be streaming on Rumble for a bit, and he's been doing an 11 p.m. show with Doug Nelson on Censored TV, and he is at Censored TV and Compound Censored now. And if you guys subscribe, you use the code Pat or Dixon. Use the code Dixon. Sorry about that, for a discount. And Pat will know. Pat will know you're there. Currently, he's doing Latest Fuck. Is that the show on Censored? Latest Fuck, which I think was a Rumble show. And that's the deal about doing Pat show. I love doing Pat show, but a guy who starts a stream at 11 o'clock at night, it's very hard for me to stay awake for those. And I know I like to do these shows about an hour and a half, but Pat gets as much time as he wants. I had asked him for 45 minutes and I got like almost 3 hours. So I've got no complaints. Hey, you guys are amazing. Last I checked, I had 212 subscribers. We're on our way to 500. So if anybody could subscribe, that would be awesome. Like me, like the videos. I post them again. I'll put them up on X tomorrow, so you can rewatch it if you like. Leave a comment if you do rewatch it. Apparently that helps with the Google algorithm. And I am not trying to, not really, this is not a money-making event. It's not a money-making venture for me, but I would like to get the respect that comes with being monetized. And it's kind of my way of getting back at a few people that told me that I was never going to do this, and I am a clout chaser and all that shit. So I'm here. We'll be back tomorrow night, hopefully with Mr. Dave Sarah, where we'll talk about all sorts of things, weird and crazy. Pell, you're a good egg, Schmuel. Thank you. Hey man, I am absolutely blown away that people subscribe to this and people watch it, and I get invited onto other shows. All that stuff is just amazing to me. It warms my old ancient heart. And Mr. Blue Sky, Schmuel, is it tomorrow? We have a thing. We do. If you can do, I think 7:30 tomorrow night, we'd be doing it, or Thursday. Either or would be good. I'm going to be doing, and it's a little late to be talking about this. I'm going to be doing a show, I think next week with a lawyer, and we're going to be talking about YouTube, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about setting up, the advantages and disadvantages of LLCs. We're going to talk about what defamation really is. A lot of the topics that we get on here, because there's a lot of YouTube lawyers, and I'm not, and YouTube pharmacists and physicians and whatnot. So we'll have them on. I am trying with much difficulty to have a psychiatrist friend of mine come on for an hour, but I don't know if that's going to happen, or I don't know if we'll have to do it without him having his camera on or a filter or something. But a really bright, smart guy, and I'd like to throw some things at him just to get personality types. No, not the sorcerer. The sorcerer is scared of me. I think the sorcerer might think I have some mental problems. I'd cornered him in an elevator. I Buckmaned him in an elevator in Atlantic City. And then when I saw him in Las Vegas, he could not get away from me fast enough. So there's always that. But I like the sorcerer. I think some of the best shows they do are with the Sorcerer. I would really love for the Sorcerer to do his own show with, you know how like Jim Norton is doing that, like, can we help you thing? It would be really cool if the Sorcerer and a good comedian, like maybe a Vinnie Paulino, if those guys did a show together. That'd be fucking amazing, with questions and call-ins and shit. Shorzy, keep that blues hat on. I used to go to strip clubs with Brett Hall. Woo. To be perfectly honest, I like the logo. When I loved hockey when I was a kid, and when I saw this, I got it. Yes, I think he's doing a show with Cardiff soon. Cardiff would be awesome too, with the Sorcerer. Cardiff is coming on, but we have not scheduled the date yet. So we're looking at, from the Dabbleverse, the people that I know that have committed to doing the show are Vinnie Paulino, Cardiff, and I haven't really asked anyone else. I don't like bothering these guys. So everybody, you're all free to leave. Go to Pat Dixon, rumble.com, Pat Dixon. And you know what? Let me pull it up. Pat, there's no other reason that I have a Pat Dixon Live with guest Schmuel Buckman. I think I can put up the link. And Pat's getting ready. So this, I'll post the link if it lets me. Yeah, there we go. That's the link to Pat's show if you want to continue this. Frank, let's go here. Frank, Chrissy's baby called me the F word because I'm upset about Liam threatening to kill me. Please condemn him, Schmuel. I am not a Liam fan, and I think I think Liam talks a lot of shit, but he doesn't back it up, and he particularly likes to go after people that he sees that he thinks are beneath him, like Ray DeVito, like Frank, guys like that, because one of the things is he talked a lot of shit about Dixon, and Dixon's not the kind of guy to go after somebody, but I would have asked Liam, so what is it you've been saying about me? Because one of Liam's big complaints was that he said he'd heard Ray was talking about him to New York comedians. And so I originally liked Liam. I wanted to like Liam. But I just think he's just a troll. And if you all go to, I could post it. He is on Substack, and he wrote an article today, but he wrote one the other day, and it's like, woe is me, Liam. It's the way I read it, and it's like, I'm like, I don't fucking care, right? Like, this isn't the place for you to work out your problems. But I did this and I did that. It was very much like older man looking back on the past and wanting to rekindle it, kind of Stuttering Johnish. And we've decided tonight that Stuttering John has way more talent than Liam. And Frank, Liam thinks he's better than me and Ray. Liam thinks he's better than everyone. This is the deal with Liam, except a lot of his Hollywood buddies. And particularly, he's a 12-stepper. And I can tell you from 12-step, you meet a lot of like sort of interesting people. So I'm sure there's a bunch that he looks up to. And I also think that a lot of stories that he tells are directly from the room. And I say that because they sound very familiar. Mr. Blue Sky, he didn't act like he was better than me. Well, you're the one. And, he's not. So maybe you cowered him. But he definitely thought he was better. He definitely thought he was better than me. Mr. Blue Sky, he must have specific issues. Yeah, he does. And then there's other stuff because he judges people about things they've done. And this guy's past is he's just very lucky. There weren't a lot of cameras around during that time. But we'll let it go with that. All right, guys. I really got to go because I promised Pat I would be over there, and I have to pee. And I don't like taking breaks during the stream because then you think I'm doing other things in my bathroom. So we did 3 hours and 11 minutes. Thanks to everybody for being here. Please remember to like and subscribe. And y'all are the best chat in the biz. And I hear people say that shit all the time, but this one really is. Bye.